This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
Yeah, buddy. In the building.
I'm just a kid from Chicago.
Big show tonight. Big show tonight. We're going to talk about the pandemic that continues to be rearing its ugly head. But we're down, Chi-Town and all. More than half our viewers are international, so we're down. Welcome to the Self Luv Show, where our motto is on earth as it is in heaven. Big ups to the ancestors. Self-love. Vision. We also say, as above, so below. Right now, we can be found Malcolm exclusively right here on YouTube's channel. This ain't that network. As we say, TATN. We just some kids from the Shy making a way. This your co-host, Nine Mills, also known as one of the selves. What down. Repeat after me. I am greater than my excuse. I am greater than my excuse. I am greater than my excuse. Thanks. Today is Hump Day, Wednesday, July 21, 21. And we love to acknowledge that everyone that can hear the sound of my voice could be anywhere in this vast, magnanimous universe. And thankfully, we all Scooter chose to be here together. Here together. What down, brother Wordsmith? What you manifesting, bruh?
Love, self-love, vision.
Yes, sir.
Love, I'm manifesting love. What you manifesting?
Hey, you know me, bro. Pure, magnificent, magnanimous, pure, unadulterated. Sometimes I would even say frequently tough, but usually respectfully and as a gentleman. But love just the same, bro. Hey, so what's been going on in your neck of the Shy today, bro?
Man, I forgot. I think it happened last week, but they actually changed the name from Lakeshore Drive to John Point Dusabo
Okay. And then
Lakeshore Drive.
welcome, Dr. Coney. We're going to keep your camera off and keep you on the backstage right now in the cream room for now. So please stand by. Appreciate you. You can enjoy the show right there, or you can check it out on YouTube. Good Noop. But what was that, Self?
Yeah, they changed it from Lakeshore Drive to Dusabo Lakeshore Drive.
Yeah. Big ups, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, one day I guess they'll change the whole doggone city's name to DuSable, huh? DuSable, Illinois.
That would be wonderful.
Yeah. Maybe Silverdale, that'll be one of the names we vote on, huh? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh?
Makes sense.
I'd say it's James Worthy. Pardon the pun, right, Self Love?
Yeah. Definitely.
Big James Worthy. So, yeah, we have a great show lined up for you today. We have gentlemen in the building that have knowledge and experience and have, the ability to break down the science and also some of the spiritual aspects of what we're going through right now as a society. So what you're going to get today, we're going to run through the announcements. We have the quote of the day, the self-love quote of the day. Also, we go through our Did You See segment, and then to move or not to move. And then we'll give you our riddle of the day. We'll see if our panel or someone out there in the chat can solve the riddle. I must say, Brother Wordsmith's been doing pretty damn good. Ending Corona ignorance. That's what we're discussing. It's the vaccine, any side effects, things that, people may be saying and talking about, the variants, science and faith. We're also, after the guests leave, we're going to give you next week's topic, our sneak peek. We'll talk about that later. And then Self Love and I will give you our summary. And then, of course, my favorite part of the whole thing, which is Wordsmith's final words. And that's where this brother summarizes everything in a nice little poetic metaphysical bun for you. So I tell you guys, stick it out to the end and you get you a nice little cherry on the top. The announcements that I got, bruh, rest in power to that king, Biz Marquis. It's spring again. I almost said give him hell in heaven, but Biz, I know you were up there entertaining all of the ancestors. So big ups and condolences to his family. You guys shoot some prayers out to my big bro, just, for some speedy recovery. And then we're going to talk about tomorrow on Mouthpiece Included, we have MJ bashing. That's Michael Jordan. Well, any MJ, but we're focusing on Michael Jordan. That's tomorrow. The bashing. Okay. Is it justified? Is it just a big trick of white supremacy? Is it just another one of our heroes being torn down year after year after year in the annals of history? Or am I way off code by supporting this guy? Is he a billionaire who doesn't do anything for the community? That's what we're discussing on right here on TATN tomorrow. Self Love, you got any announcements, bro?
Just want to say big prayers up for my neighbor. Send him up. Speedy recovery. Man. And look out for tomorrow. The MJ bash. It's going to go down.
Yeah. Justified? All right. And like, share, subscribe. And if there's any, doctors or anyone who, may have had corona and, wanted to share, any experience or had any questions, we ask you to please drop those questions into the chat. If you can lead into it with a capital Q, that'll make it easier for Self Love and I to go ahead and pull out those questions. So before I forget, up top, and we'll go through this disclaimer. This content that you're going to hear tonight is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified healthcare providers with any questions you may have regarding a personal medical condition. And then on the legal side, although our attorney is not in the building today, the information provided tonight on the Self Luv Show is for informational purposes only and should not be construed as legal advice on any subject matter. You should not act or refrain from acting on the basis of any content or statement made without seeking legal and or professional advice. So definitely wanted to get that out of the way out there.
Facts.
So yeah, facts. So yeah, so if I my bad, I'll throw it to you, bro.
All right. Like, share, subscribe, hit the bell, share far and wide. Y'all know the drill. This is an organic movement, and I need your help. Spread this. Let's get it far and wide. Of course, we have a very important video that is the foundation of our movement. We need you to pay very close attention to that. But before we do that, we have the Self Luv Show quote of the day. There are only two ways to live your life. One is as though nothing is a miracle. The other is as though everything is a miracle. There are only two ways to live your life. One is as though nothing is a miracle. The other is as though everything is a miracle. And that's Albert Einstein. All right, so here we go. Silverback More Growth and Development Platform. Number one, repair our nation via reparations. We demand our silver back. Number two, to connect our breadwinners with our activists. And three, show an accurate depiction of African American Chi-Town. 4, to shine a light on positive influences. 5, heal our community one person at a time. 6, to provide an unfiltered platform for our influencers. 7, recycle the black dollar. 8, to provide mentors for the mentorless. 9, to close the gap between us and our pink kinsmen.
Yeah, it definitely said it's about time for us to get that gap closed.
Gotta get it closed. Get her closed. Let's get her closed. Let's get her closed.
Man, facts. Got to get to work out here as a community, and we have to have working in concert, right? We have to be working together.
Period.
That's the whole point of a community out there, people. You're not on your own out there, Sammys. You know, you got other people up and down the block and rest up to my, guess you can say ancestor, you know, Sammy, huh? It's one of the ancestors now. Big ups. All right. So yeah. Self, I wanted to ask you though, it's kind of on topic. Did you see the Biden, on the Biden administration, they're talking about Facebook misinformation regarding the Peter pandemic or the corona, et cetera. Have you seen anything on that?
Nah, I stay pretty much unplugged. So,
well, big ups to our top of the line production staff and also Reuters. They pulled this video up and we're using it under fair use for educational purposes.
Fair use.
U.S. President Joe Biden on Friday blasted social media companies for allowing COVID misinformation to flourish on their platforms.
On COVID misinformation, what's your message to platforms like Facebook?
They're killing people.
Whoa.
I mean, it really, look, the only pandemic we have is among the unvaccinated.
Huh?
And they're killing people.
Facebook has introduced rules against making specific false claims about COVID-19 and vaccines for it, and says it provides people reliable information on these topics. Facebook on Friday said, quote, "We will not be distracted by accusations which aren't supported by the facts." Biden's comments came a day after U.S. Surgeon General Dr. Vivek Murthy issued his first advisory as the nation's top doctor under President Biden, portraying such information as a national health threat and urging tech companies to tweak their algorithms to further demote false information.
In terms of actions,
Press Secretary Jen Psaki on Thursday said the White House was flagging problematic posts that spread false COVID claims and inaccurate vaccine information for Facebook.
we're flagging problematic posts for Facebook.
And on Friday, she said the company is not doing enough.
Facebook responded yesterday after the press briefing. They say that they've removed 18 million pieces of COVID misinformation. They've connected more than 2 billion people to reliable
Ginger out
information.
there?
So does the White House find that
It's Ginger,
sufficient?
Marianne and Ginger.
Clearly not, because we're talking about additional steps that should be taken.
Can
They're
you
a
say
private sector
Ginger?
company. They're going to make decisions about additional steps
Looks
they
like
can take. It's clear there are
Ginger
more
at-
that can be taken.
Boy.
At this age.
Psaki on Thursday
Cartman
said
off South
12
Park,
people
boy.
were
Cartman's
responsible
over
for
here
almost
tripping.
65% of anti-vaccine
my God.
Big ups to
misinformation on
Cartman.
social media
No, the Ginger.
platforms. The finding was reported in May by the Center for Countering Digital Hate, but Facebook has disputed the methodology. CDC Director Dr. Rochelle Walensky on Friday said COVID-19 cases are up 70% over the previous week, and the outbreaks are occurring in parts of the country with low vaccination rates.
This is becoming a pandemic of the unvaccinated.
She added that 97% of people entering hospitals in the U.S. with COVID-19 are unvaccinated.
Okay, so
Wow.
yeah, what's your take on that, Self? What's your take?
Facebook has been doing, as well as most social media has been doing, a whole lot of censorship. A whole lot of censorship. There are subjects that can't be talked about. And, you know, for them to say that Facebook is killing people, it's,
Man, that's coming from the president. That seemed a little reckless.
disingenuous. Well, you know that dude's reckless.
He said people, you know, who I may or may not have the vax, have taken the vax. He said they're killing people. He said that.
Yeah, that's ludicrous.
That's what he said.
It's ludicrous.
All right. Yeah, we're gonna make sure we get. I'm gonna ask you for a question, and we get these guys' take on that, because I'm sure they probably saw that, and then we probably want to reach out to Dr. Gay on that thread, and also Pastor Stewart as well. But yeah, bro, I'm gonna leave it at that. But I will say this on the flip side, bro. If I came into your house and, you know, it's your private property, you know. Your family's there, what have you, or nobody's there, but you and I, and you say you don't want to hear certain types of content, right? It's your private place.
Yeah.
I signed an agreement before I came in that, you know, certain things I wouldn't talk about, whatever it was. You could say I don't want to talk about mustard sandwiches, right?
Facts.
Right. And so there's that, you know, there is that, bro. Nobody puts a gun to your head and says you have to be on Twitter or Facebook. There is that. What do you say to that?
That's true. I mean, you know, they should have the ability to a certain degree decide what is on their platform. But my issue with them is they censor a lot of the real information, and
they'll censor stuff from qualified professionals with the
yes.
same licenses as the other people, and they'll censor that, and then you start saying, yeah. But hey, we know whose platform we're on, and we know where our bread is buttered. So I want to roll into, you know, our new segment we do, which is to how to move or how not to move. so to speak. Big ups to production and Fox 2 out of Detroit.
Bianca Chambers says for 2 days she tracked her.
Yeah, so this is, I know you hear how these modern generation, you know what it means to be dragged when they say you got dragged by the media, right?
Yeah,
You've heard that,
yeah.
Twain?
Yeah.
So this one, this one is, we're going to talk about how a Detroit car thief got dragged.
All right.
Yeah.
Stolen Mercedes-Benz all over Detroit. On day 3, she decided to take matters into her own hands. That she did. She confronted the thief.
Stole my shit. At that point, I was just like, dog, I'm not letting this man walk again.
Bianca face to face with the guy she says stole her brand new Benz.
Excuse me, you got that Benz out there? Yes, you do.
It went down Wednesday at a barbershop at Greenfield and Grand River.
He in 7 Days West, getting his dreads twisted. Look at my car.
Customers stepped in, making a citizen's arrest. Then Bianca slashed her own tires.
I slashed all the tires and I thought that he was gonna take off, and I didn't know how long it was gonna take for the police to pull up. And I refused to let him pull off again.
Holding him there until Detroit police came.
You will never steal from me again.
Detroit police say officers responded 4 times to Bianca's 911 calls as she tracked the car using a web of social media tips. But when officers got there, the car was gone.
Oh my God. Y'all, I see my car.
The thief so bold, he even made a pit stop at the strip mall where Bianca owns a boutique.
They was driving, you know, they was having a good time. You know, they was smoking, but yes, my car was very clean.
He even got the car detailed. Sources tell Fox 2 the thief, now in police custody, has a history of stealing cars since he was a teen.
You're just the dumbest criminal, that's all. Like, you're joyriding in my car. Like, wasn't nobody going to see you?
Reporting on Detroit's West Side, Jessica Dupnack, Fox 2 News.
Okay. Now, I'm going to say there's a bunch of how not to move in there. Let's see here. I don't think I'm on mute. Yeah, there's a bunch of how not to move. And for one, that kid still in the cars and doing the joy riding, you know, get yourself a job out there, you know, get yourself a trade, learn how to code, get
Something.
on code. Yeah. Kid's probably a short bus though. It looked like some marbles were missing, with all due respect.
Yeah, getting dragged by
Correct.
a lady.
I don't know. They set it all up like it was her, but it looked like there was some guys dragging him. And
Oh, okay.
yeah, I mean, is this what it's come to? You know, dragging this guy, I mean, and then going out on camera and not hiding your face. And yeah, and I drug him and I drug him. And I mean, seriously, I mean, wow. You know what I mean? I see how these kids run around shooting over popcorn.
Man, real talk.
You know what I mean?
Real talk.
Man, I mean, you know, you'd think as the elder, you know, and I've been called an idealist, but you know, she probably clutches a Bible. I'm talking about the victim, the lady, right?
Yeah.
Had insurance on that Mercedes. There's a business in that community. She's running, probably does somebody in his family's hair by 6 degrees. It's 2 degrees of separation.
Yeah.
You'd think she'd be able to come out there in front of that media and say something like, you know, hope that kid can get some help. And, you know, if he comes around here, I can get him a job. And, you know, it's just a car and it's all replaceable. But no, that's what they perpetuate. And that's what they want to see start to happen in our community.
Absolutely.
Women dragging 17-year-old men and buy their gonads. Did she have them by his gonads or she had them by his locks?
By his locks, it looked like, or whoever had them.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, that's so how not to move all the way around.
Definitely. All the way around.
All the way around. And then did all that and still called 12. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
If you're gonna,
Slashed her tires so that he couldn't drive off again.
yeah, if you're going to humiliate me, you know what I mean, just call 12. They can do it. But yeah, let's get that kid the help he needs, and let's get that lady some new tires that the kid's going to have to pay for, since she decided to go out there and slash all 4 tires and said so he can't drive off in my car. But did you know you had him by his dreadlocks? He wasn't going to be able to go anywhere? I don't know. I'm missing something about the story. I wish they would have asked her that, though. So
I actually had heard about this, and it was said that she had found the car several times. But he would, get in there and roll off with it, before the police came.
Yeah, he was kicking it.
Man.
All right, but let's jump into the riddle du jour, self-love. So here's what I got for the nation. If anybody knows it, feel free to type it in the chat, the solution to the riddle. Self-love, I ask you to hold on to it. Just give me a thumbs up or some sort of indication. Hey, a thumbs up if you know it. Thumbs up if you know it. Thumbs down if you don't. Thumbs up at any point during the show when you think you figured it out, self-love. And then for anybody out there in the chat, you can type it at any time, and we'll be asking the guests if they can figure it out. So here we go. How can you drop a raw egg from a height of 99 feet onto the floor without cracking it? Once again, how can you drop a raw egg from a height of 99 feet onto the floor without cracking it? Yeah, thumbs up, thumbs down.
Yeah, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs,
thumbs
up,
up.
thumbs up.
All right. All right. Okay. So, enough appetizers out here. I say we go ahead and get everything rolling because, time is not infinite.
That's right.
Well, time is infinite, but ours isn't.
Let's quench the thirst of the self-love nation.
Absolutely. So let's go ahead and roll that promo production, and then I will start with the introductions, and so that everybody can know who we got in the building today.
Elaborate on that shit a little bit, man. Like we real
9 meals. Thank you. I got it. Shout out 9 meals. Thank you, baby.
Yeah. Understanding and people not paying attention. They're going to use everything to their advantage that they can. They being, you figure it out who they are. But next week, right here on the Self Love Show, Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, we're going to reboot the Corona Peter Pandemic panel.
I want to be a pandemic. I want to be a pandemic.
Yeah, we got 2 doctors. And the Self Love Nation should be familiar with both of them. Dr. Gay is returning back in the building. He was on our first 2 Corona panels.
Yep.
Yeah. And then Dr. Coney has agreed to be a first-time participant in the Corona panel.
That's
right.
Beautiful.
He's, quote, end quote, replacing my ship, Dr. Honoré, who's, of course, irreplaceable. So,
Right. But can't be here.
Yeah. And then we got the good pastor, Pastor Brian Stewart.
Amazing. That's going to be great.
Yeah. So we're focusing specifically on any side effects. We've been hearing some hubbub about the Johnson & Johnson. We're going to talk about sort of, jab, or the vax, as you guys call it. And also, the variants. We'll get more into, science versus, religion, and where we're going as a society, because you see, a lot of what's actually panned out. It's been what I've been talking about as opposed to what these guys have been talking about.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Facts.
At the end of the day, you got to open this thing back up. You see, they're still talking about, but let's lower the it don't matter. Please. I said this at the beginning. At some point, you're going to have to open this thing back up All right, Self Love Nation. So we got what the hell are we doing? in the building Now they're opening back up, and right here in Cali, my they're saying brother, that the cases and are Self going Love's back up. brother, But they're still opening everything back up. Dr. Joseph Well, we'll save Coney. We'll save that. We'll save that for the doctors. And He earned his Bachelor of Science degree in biology at Beta, University of Illinois. And then he went on to earn his medical degree at Loyola Stritch School of Medicine. Yeah, and we got a ding on Went the on to second one. They let us get away with a whole complete lot of dings on the first corona. ophthalmology medical retina fellowship, Hey, and diabetic retinopathy, Joslin Diabetes Clinic of Harvard Medical School. And he also appeared on the Self Love Show and became a member of the Give Back Gang.
Father God, we thank you so much.
So if you have anyone in need of retina help,
being the one who sustains us and being the one who enlightens us, God, today we need you to shine like you do through that diamond.
send them to Retina Associates of Cleveland. It'll be worth the trip. Retina Associates of Cleveland. www.retina-doctors.com. And then coming to the building, we're going to have Pastor Bryant A. Stewart, born in Louisville, Kentucky, former high school state track champion, and a grad of Oakwood University in Huntsville, Alabama. He's worked in various areas of ministry over 15 years. Through his humility and guidance, he's led many to Christ. He currently pastors the College Hill Seventh-day Adventist Church, located in Knoxville. To those from the south side of Chicago, you may know it as Knoxville, Tennessee. He's a sought-after preacher and evangelist, and enjoys worshiping the Lord. Pastor Brian Stewart of College Hill Seventh-day Adventist Church in Knoxville. We do homeless outreach, bi-weekly free meals, food basket giveaways, and they minister by showing acts of love. And then last and most definitely not least, my brother, Self Love's brother and Dr. Coney's brother, Dr. Rob Gay III, University of Illinois, and Urbana grad, that's Beta. He's currently practicing doctor of anesthesiology over 2 decades. Director of anesthesia, AmSurg Surgery Center, airway management, physician, University of Illinois, Chicago College. But he's plugging Guide Right, Kappa Alpha Psi Guide Right program. I think it's the, what do you call them? The Kappa Leaguers. Get those young men and those young women into the Kappa League, and we can get them on to universities, get them into colleges, et cetera, et cetera. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get this this thing going. Welcome, everybody. We appreciate you taking your time out from your busy schedules to do this. Once again, we appreciate everybody. I got, let's see if we can get Dr. Coney going here. 1 second. And let's unmute everyone. All right. Let's see here. Self Love, if you can go ahead and do your thing, bro, and I'll do all this here.
My brothers, man, thank y'all for being here. This is very important information that we need to get out to the Self Love Nation, and we have the great cast of brothers to bring it to them. So welcome, welcome, welcome.
Facts. Did you gentlemen, I want to just ditto that. We have one new person here, Dr. Coney. He's coming with a wealth of knowledge and experience. So, but I know he's watch how we kind of do it. The first two shows, questions were very similar because the initial show had gotten deleted. Also, we're a lot further along. We didn't know, as a community, as a society, so some of the questions, even that's coming from outside of myself and self-love, have evolved. So we'll just, kind of bring them to you, as we got them, and then we'll see where we go. It's just kind of weird that things felt like, for me, it felt like things were getting better, things were opening up, and then, we scheduled this show here, and then, things seem to have, took a turn from the worst. So, but you guys, let's start with, Dr. Gay walked away. We'll start with Dr. Coney. If you want to just start out and say something, and then we'll throw it to Pastor Stewart.
Dr. Coney, can you hear us?
I'm sorry, I missed the question. Sorry about that.
Oh, it's okay. Yeah, I was just saying, did you want to start out just with a few general words or anything before we get going?
Hey, gentlemen, listen. I think it's a great platform you guys are doing tonight. I'm happy to be here, to be part of the discussion, to talk about the myths, what's true, what's not true. Hopefully tonight with the discussion, we may hopefully save a few lives. Let's make this fun. Let's make it entertaining. But most important, let's make it informational.
Hey, man, well said, and that's our goal. That is our goal. Okay, all right. Well, it looks like Dr. Gay and where's Pastor Stewart?
I'm sorry, y'all. I just turned the corner. I'm back. What's going on?
Pastor Stewart, you got anything you want to start out with? Well, we normally start out with prayer. So if you don't mind, and I want to say before you start, big ups and praise the ancestors. But if you don't mind, sir, starting us in prayer, and then, if anything else after that you want to start out and say, just lead into that too, please.
Yeah, man, let's go ahead. Let's do it. Father God, we thank you so much for this day, for allowing us to be here, allowing us to be in good health, allowing us to be in sound mind. We ask right now, Father, through the different signals, God, that you would allow for our understanding to expand, God, also for our ability to increase, and the Lord, for us to be able to articulate all the concerns, questions, and or opportunities to express the different places, the Lord, to give a better vision and view without bias and with information. In Jesus' name we do pray. Amen.
Amen.
I guess pretty basic. Pastor Stu, B Stu, here. I finally got done with the book, guys. We finally got it out. So I'm pretty hype about that. It's getting out, stepping into faith with the unknown. So it's our devotional book. I finally finished it. It's on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles. Check it out. It's pretty dope. So I just want to say thank you guys, man, because y'all gave me the chance to shout it out before. Finally got it done. So pretty hype about it. Happy to be here. Was just done with the renovation at my church, and the numbers got turned back up. So it's been a doozy. We just spent a whole lot of money trying to set up for it. So reopening. So now it's now. Yeah.
Hey, congrats, Pastor Stewart, though, on your book. I know that's like having a baby. I know that because I'm a female and I've had, 6 babies. So I know it, and I've written a book. So
right.
My point is, from what I hear, I'm just comparing it. And Self Love and we recently launched a series on Black authors and Black books. So if it's what we do is we actually read the material, and then, invite authors, back on, and they unpack the book, without giving away all the stuff. We want people to actually go buy the book, but they kind of decode it, tease the book a little bit. So, yeah, we'd love to offer you to do that on the Self Love Show.
Would love to. Thank you so much for the chat, man, for real.
Big ups, man. I know you put your heart into it like you do everything you do. So, Dr. Gay, did you have any words that you wanted to lead out to, or did you want to just jump into this Q&A that we got?
I have a few words. First and foremost, Pastor, how you doing? You all right?
What's going on, Champ? How's it going?
Checking in. I'm Let me know if you need anything.
Yes, sir. We'll do.
Well, also, on a lighter note, we got us a quarterback. I don't know if y'all know it. We got us a quarterback. So it's gonna be.
You holding on to everything now.
So now we're going to more serious notes. I am a little bit concerned about the Delta variant, which has been brought about because of the general population's lack of understanding of the importance of vaccination, because as we all know, the virus can't mutate if it doesn't enter the host, and it doesn't enter the host if we're vaccinated. So this could have been over with, but now we're dealing with silliness. So I'm hoping that we'll be okay. I just think there'll be, if things turn for the worse and we start shutting down the country again, it's going to be a major thing. So, but I'm hoping that enough. I don't know what's the number now. 68% of the country now is vaccinated. So something close to that. That's almost enough. But I'm hoping that the numbers continue to climb as far as the vaccination numbers. But that's the one thing that worries me now. I mean, I've gotten over my concerns about the vaccines, as we've talked about before. In our practice, we're seeing a change in vaccination protocols now. Like our hospital and our surgery center have both agreed to, if you're vaccinated and you're not symptomatic, you don't get tested, and so that represents a turning of the corner, so to speak. And I'm hoping that we can continue to move along that line, as opposed to getting dragged down by the Delta variant and everything else. So, but that's it. All is well. Hope you guys are doing great and everybody's healthy. Pastor, I'm always concerned about you, but I always ask about you. Love you guys. I'm glad we're doing this, and let's keep it going.
Facts. Well, Dr. Gay, this is a familiar question. Well, go ahead. You were saying something?
No, go ahead.
Okay. Well, this is a familiar question for you guys, but it's relevant. How has or is COVID-19 or Corona, how is it affecting you all, socially, professionally, and or otherwise, today? How is it as opposed to maybe, when it started? I'll start with Dr. Gay, and then we'll go from there.
So we've seen it almost come full circle. Back in March and April of 2020, when things really were bad, the surgery center shut down. My group and I was part of that, volunteered to work in ICU to help take care of COVID patients. We've seen the outpatient surgery market start to open up again, and now for the last probably 6, 7, 8 months, we've been at pre-COVID volume. And as people have gotten more vaccinated, we've seen a return to normalcy. So for me, I personally am so glad to see people walking around without masks, even though I know some of them are lying and they're not vaccinated, but it's just nice to see human faces. You get used to this, and I'm like, we're not used to that, and so we're social beings as human beings, and but I understand we have to do this safely. And so for me now, we're back to full circle. I just don't want it to go back the other way. So it's all good. And I had another birthday. I'm 58 now. So a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, happy belated.
Tell you what, and I'm counting them all. I'm counting all of them. None of this 29 forever. 58, baby. Mm-hmm. So let's keep.
Yeah, 58 is the new 28. So, Dr. Coney, I wanted to shoot that over there to you, and then we'll ask the same thing for the good pastor.
So, like the good brother, Dr. Gay here, we were, all of us was in the same issues, back in March. My practice, because I'm a retina specialist, was a little bit different I own an ASC. Ophthalmology across all medicine was the hardest hit subspecialty of all of medicine. About 79% of doors were closed because everything is elective surgery. But because I'm a retina surgeon, I worked 11 straight months without a day off, including Saturday. So I was pretty much burnt out last year. I took the last 3 weeks. I took literally 3 weeks off between December and January just to reboot. In terms of where we were, we have a paper published now where for the first 6 weeks, our productivity probably went down to about 50, about 40, just a little about 50%. And we slowly had an upward climb. So 10 weeks after the shutdown, we were back to, at least from a procedural standpoint, back to where we were before. And I think this is something to be said, because when you have chronic diseases, some things like macular degeneration and diabetes, these individuals understood that if they did not get their monthly injections, they would go blind. And these folks kept their appointments. It was pretty amazing. People that had routine appointments, they didn't come in. But we had to change everything that we did in clinic. We followed the state guidelines here in Ohio. About a month or so ago, we took off the mask mandate. Is optional. I'm probably one of 2 doctors out of 14 in my group that continue to wear a mask. I wear my mask every day because I think these variants are real. I have a family, and I don't think you need media to tell you the right, what to do and what not to do. I think that we've all lived through this past year for a reason. Part of that is that we did the necessary things to keep ourselves safe. We know washing hands is important. We know that masks are important. We didn't even have a flu season last year, and we have flus every year. I think coronavirus is going to be the new flu. I think this is going to be around much longer. There's going to be much variance to come. As Dr. Gates said, if you don't have a host, this thing can't replicate. So we give that virus the ability to replicate. And part of it is because of all the bad media and really leadership was really came down to from last year, which is still festering. And now you can even look at states where blue and red states have a different opinion about vaccinations, about what they should be doing with masks. And if you look at more blue states, those folks are doing a little bit better, and red states have much a higher volume. And those states that are not vaccinated are having more positive tests right now. And so it's crazy how even, this is not, I'm just saying this here, this is not a political issue. This is a health issue. This is a public health issue, just like we had measles, mumps, rubella. It's the exact same thing. And I can't understand how we can see things. We see people around us suffer. We see people around us die. And how is that not a warning sign or wake-up call for you just do the right thing? And you still believe certain filters and certain things that people say. And I just cannot, and maybe this would be an interesting part on this panel on how you guys feel that our leadership go on and say these things. And I know we mentioned Facebook earlier, so I'm glad you guys mentioned that. How people say these things and people believe it. I just don't get it.
Well, we're definitely here to unpack all of that. And so trust me, we've got a nice little buffet laid out for you guys. Pastor, yeah, because I'm just, letting go and letting God on that. And small ups to the Baphomet that runs YouTube and Google, in my opinion, allegedly, in my opinion, and big ups, to Yahshua. So, Pastor Stewart, so right now, I know you were, I guess, doing some work as well, I guess, with the at the cemetery or mortuaries and the church, like the church, my neighborhood church, these churches have opened up. So just want to know, the question is, how is COVID-19 affecting you socially, professionally, or otherwise, since the vax has been rolled out and more people are getting it?
Well, one of the issues socially, I mean, nothing's changed. Unfortunately, pastors are probably underrated. Well, let me rephrase. Pastors who work are underrated frontline worker. So I've had members who have gone from hospital to getting sick to, just regular hospital issues, from, stents in the heart from a heart attack, to all the way down to, my son was playing around with my daughter and ran into the door, and now, we're trying to keep him away from a concussion. What do we do? Just this is some of the simple stuff. So as a result, it hasn't really changed much. Professionally, I've been, equally still as busy because unfortunately people are very motivated by fear. And so being motivated by fear, there's one aspect of the African American community that has become recluse in the sense that they just do not come out. And they want you to come to their house and pick up tithes and offering. They want you to come and aid to them from, communion, et cetera, all the way down to those who are reckless and having 4th of July parties and things of that nature without distancing and sanitization and, washing their hands and keeping the distances, except for, what family groups. So I've seen it all. And I hate to say it, but my purview is kind of like, not Pastor, Dr. Coney, right? Like I'm running into, I don't know where y'all live, but the South ain't changed. Even during COVID, if you went to Gatlinburg, you wouldn't have known the difference. Like going to, different places in Chattanooga, you wouldn't have known the difference. So they've been very, very, very reckless around here. And from those who don't want to get the vaccine, cool, respect. But then they turn around and don't want to wear face masks. They turn around and don't want to sanitize. They turn around and want to wear it below their nose or on the bottom of their chin or open it up when they need to talk. You're defeating the purpose. So socially, it's just kind of, people have actually been rather divisive in a sense. It's been very argumentative about vaccinations, and people are concerned about getting things back to normal, but don't want to do the work. And so it's very indicative of their state of mind, state of being, state of education, and state of finances, because they know the problem, but they don't want to put the discipline in to do the work. So stuck.
Okay, man. So Dr. Coney, I'll start with you because you led into it. This was one of our true false questions that I had, and I thought it would be a little more poignant. But true or false, the everyday flu has disappeared since COVID, and so I want to hear you guys' response, and let's discuss that, since you did bring that up, sir. And what's going on with that? Because normally there's a run on the news about flu season, and people are running to get their flu shots and this, that, and the third. And you said something. You said you think Corona is the new flu, and I was kind of saying that from the start, like it just all feels like a type of flu. But so y'all, so I want to know, has the flu disappeared, or what are you guys seeing with the flu?
First of all, when I say this, I'm just saying this as an example. It's like when I, the words I gave my son, last March, a mask is the new Jimmy. Clearly that's not a condom, but the point I'm trying to make is that if you don't use it, you'll get burned. Mm-hmm. And so, the flu season last year, I'm sure there were people that got affected by the flu. I'm not saying that the flu disappeared. I don't think viruses and these things have been around for a long time. The point I'm trying to make is that the mask lowered those rates significantly. And most people that maybe have the flu or flu-like symptoms were probably scared to come to the hospital, truthfully. And so the people that we really, really saw were the sickest people. You couldn't even get to a hospital unless you were very sick. You walk to the emergency room, if your O2 stats wasn't in the 80s, they're sending you home and telling you to call back, in a couple of days and just quarantine. But we didn't see a whole lot of people talk about the flu last year. It was all about COVID. But with that being said, I think that one similarity between this pandemic and the pandemic of 2018 is that pandemic did not get under control until we start covering our mouths. And I think that is the way you combat this particular problem. And if early on we'd have done that, not even having all the science, because thinking about science, things are going to change And in Washington, if you change your idea about something, people look at you as being not a strong leader. Maybe not, but in science, we analyze things on a day-to-day basis. And if you're a doctor, you never change, you know what, you're going to make so many more mistakes. I change things all the time because diseases change, things progress. Everyone doesn't read a textbook on how you should handle a certain disease. Everyone that have a heart attack is not going to have chest pain. And so how people present to you change, science change. And this thing was going so fast. But one thing early on that was talked about was a mask. And there was so much controversy around wearing a mask because it's something that we're not comfortable in doing. And you had someone with a bully pit that stirred all this up. And then you had all the minions kind of following through, and then all the filters. So now what you have is that you have a country still diffracted. You have a country still don't even know who won the presidency. And it's the same people keeping all this stuff up that we still talk about. But in reality, we know from science how things work. And I think that we need to talk about facts. And that's where I think, we try to judge most of our decisions on. And Dr. Gay, you can probably talk about this too, but when we have clinical trials, we use medicines that have gone through the FDA, which is very stringent to actually get approved. And when we come out with that medicine to the best of our ability, and there are flaws, right? I mean, there's bias in medicines, and there's even bias in clinical trials. But for the most part, it's set up to where we can find efficacy. We have some kind of confidence that the medicine is going to work, and we try to limit side effects. And that's how we look at medicine. We use the decisions that we have before us to make the right decision. And we had some of this information early on, although we didn't really quite understand what the impact was, but there was so much pushback on it.
Anybody else?
Yeah.
Anybody else want to talk about the flu or?
So I have, it's so, oh my God. Unfortunately, my daughter's trying to reach me right now. I'm trying to get rid of her so I can get on this.
Hey, you want to talk to her, or we could throw it to
No, bro.
Okay. All right. Go ahead then.
It's Alice. Allie, I'm on a call. I got to call you back. Okay. So here's the thing. It's so funny you guys brought this up. I looked up this actual statistics from the flu season of last year, 2020, 2021. You guys are not going to believe this. 700 deaths from influenza. Wow. The previous year, 22,000. That is amazing to me.
Wow.
I had no idea the numbers were that disparate, but
wow.
What that says to me is, Dr. Coney, Joe, you were absolutely right. So face masks, hand washing, all that stuff has totally obliterated the flu. Plus, finally, maybe they got the vaccine, right? Because, the flu vaccine is always a crapshoot. But the other thing here is that we were talking about, are you guys there? Did I lose you?
Go ahead.
Okay.
The other thing we talked about is there's such a stark lack of leadership in the face of a public health emergency. And they knew that they knew that ignorance is bliss. And the second part of their leadership strategy is that most Americans don't think beyond what they hear or what's in the tip of their nose. They don't want to read. They just want to hear a snip and then run with it, We've become very, very, very lazy in our country. And so if your leader says, oh, you don't need a mask, you don't need to worry about that, this is all political, what are you worried about? Then they run with that. And that's the easy thing to do. And, you're right. Most Americans don't want to do the work necessary to read independently, to think independently, to look at scientific fact and say, okay, that I see those numbers and what that might mean, and then to ask intelligent questions. We're used to that. Me and Joe are used to that in medicine. And it made for a horribly frustrating part. Now, I can honestly tell you, politics aside, if somebody like Obama was in office when this thing happened, the response would have been totally different. You would have had a small percentage of the population who would have been so, skeptical of everything because of just that's how that small section of population was. But if you had a leader that said, you know what, these are difficult times and we need to follow this science because it's changing, as opposed to the way it was handled previously, it would have been a totally different. We would be 80 to 90% vaccinated right now. I can tell you. That's what my gut tells me, because I think when you talk about a void of leadership that we had during the worst part of this pandemic, that has led to all these other problems, like people not being able to talk. This sort of lack of appreciation for a difference of opinion, and so that's kind of led us to where we are right now, and we're a country still fractured. How in the world? I know I'm getting on a little bit of a tangent. How in the world can you have a group of people and a leader that asks people to assault the capital of the United States of America, and there still be nothing said, no court action?
Allegedly.
I mean, my God, that to me tells me how deep it is, And so, but I have faith that we can continue to move forward, and try to educate people. And it's an uphill climb. I mean, we see it every day. It's an uphill climb, but we got to keep doing. We got to keep doing this kind of stuff, and we got to keep telling people what the facts are. I every patient just about I talk to, and I see them all the time, like every day. Did you get your vaccines? And then they start going on. Some of them, I don't know. I'm like, well, you realize. And then I go through my own story, which was initially I was skeptical of it, because I think historically we all know. I don't even need to say Tuskegee, but when you look in our history, we're like, okay, do I have full confidence in this system that, is saying I need to get this shot or that shot? No, we don't. But one of my partners put it this way, and it just changed my mind. It's like, okay, first of all, I knew the technology wasn't brand new. It was 10 years old. But the risk of having a problem with this virus, such as brain fog, chronic fatigue, lung issues, cardiac issues, those are real, and we see it. The risk of that is much higher than any kind of side effect that we might see from the vaccine. So that's kind of what I say to patients every day. That's what I say to people when they talk to me about it. And so, but it just, we have to continue to kind of backfill that void. And that's what I think part of what happens as a result of these kind of conversations is we're backfilling that void in leadership that has to help people understand that don't think about this in terms of politics. The virus doesn't see red, blue, green. The virus sees human. And, you have to understand the best way to try to handle this. So,
Dr. Gay, you actually make a few good points. And it's something that I think has gone under the radar. People don't understand. I mean, a lot of people run toward like the flu vaccine every single year, get it faithfully, right? But they won't get the COVID vaccination. What people don't understand is that flu vaccine is based on last year's flu. And so you get about 65%, efficacy, and it's always variable, 40 here, 50 here. I mean, it's clearly not as good as 95%, which we've seen with the vaccinations for COVID, but yet you have so much pushback. When it comes to the African-American community, I mean, I'm not saying, let's put politics aside, but the problem with a lot of, especially our younger people, there's been so much social injustice to them by the system, they don't trust the system anymore. You brought up Tuskegee. I don't think a lot of our kids understand what the Tuskegee Spearmen was about. My kids do, because I educate my kids about history, but the ordinary kid that's probably less than 25 probably have no idea. The older people, they know about Tuskegee and they remember that. They don't want to even get into clinical trials for that particular reason. And so how do we, and this has to do, I think, how we talk to our congregation as well. How do we talk to our people about safe drugs, things that we've done to try to take the bias out, where we try to show diligence for them. How do we talk people? Because there's a spiritual component to this too. People think that, you know, this is the mark of the beast. You know, I've heard that before too. They, you know, they're thinking that, you know, this chip we're putting, you know, I mean, they're putting a chip into us. This is a way that you're separating, you know, the sheep from the goats. And I'm sure you've heard these kind of comments. And what kind of discussion are you having with your congregation?
Great question.
Is that thrown at me?
That's to you.
So the number first of all, you need to be a moderator on a political panel because telling compared to what you did on your own comment. All right. But no, real talk. One of the things I do is, if we're gonna be Bible believers today, right? There's one verse that I always like to hold on to, and it says, "Is God did not give us the spirit of fear, but of love, power, and a sound mind." And the question I asked them is, majority of your motivation sounds fear motivated. I'm not hearing love, I'm not hearing power, and I'm not hearing a sound mind. Now, let's take what you said and let's wrap that around and let's really work on it. Because as a people, we have moved more out of fear of what we don't want to have happen rather than this is wisdom. From our job motivations to our relationship motivations to this vaccination motivation. And that is something that I'm trying to habitually break within our membership or our congregation or our viewership. Like, I gotta break that, because I hear more of what I don't want to have happen than what I do. And when you change your motivators, you'd be surprised how much it changes all the results. So that's really what I'm kicking. And really kicking it in because a lot of them are ignorant. Like, so many people are listening. Like, we talk about the dog whistles that came from Trump. There are a lot of people of color listening to dog whistles that are coming from people of color and ignorant people on the radio stations and our media outlets and our news press conferences, that even MSNBC and CNN and ABC, they're listening for catchphrases to push the agenda of their sponsors or of their newscast or the last article that they wrote to validate themselves. And when they hear certain phrases, they're jumping and they're cutting their people off and they're apologizing. They're seeming polite, but they're not even letting the professional get finished with their sentence to even fully explain a question that they just previously asked. So, like, as a result, I personally, as a pastor, just try to be like, yo, do you know the information? Everybody, RNA technology is so new. No, it's not. It's new in essence of the world of science. It's new in essence of all this other stuff. But when you talk about the difference between, like you said, the flu shot being a crapshoot versus we have the virus that is killing everybody and we tested this information versus the actual virus and this works. Two totally different circumstances. And people are not using wisdom, sound mind, purpose because of fear. Look, the hell with fear. I got to get rid of it because it's killing people, literally, like literally and figuratively. People are being stifled from fear, not from reality. And we're so busy living in the past and living in the future. None of us are living in the present.
You know, fear can make you take the shot, and fear can make you not take the shot.
This is true.
Now, there's some things I wanted to comment on because you guys have unpacked so much, and I really appreciate it. It was a lot more than just the Tuskegee experiment. We were literally guinea pigs for doctors and scientists in this country for decades. Okay. So at some point that does, smarten your DNA. And we as African Americans like to talk about a lot of stuff is in past tense. Mm-hmm. And then we see George Floyd get kneed out like that, and it's not so past tense anymore. So I would be disingenuous. I would be disingenuous if I didn't, play this part of the coin for America. And then also, I didn't take the vax, and I'm not ignorant. Now, I'm just going to say that. Now, but I just want to be, upfront with everybody now. But I did say to myself, I claimed and everything that I believe in from all my ancestors, that I'm never going to get that COVID. And I haven't gotten it as far as I know so far. Actually, I think I had it, a long, long time ago. So, which brings me to this question. Why is the conversation around natural immunity, well, I don't want to say natural immunity, but building up our natural defenses, for instance, even with the flu, we would talk about, getting rest, staying hydrated. I understand we have to all take the this shot, right? But what happened? The question is why is the conversation around natural immunity missing from the narrative? And so that's the question. Like, why don't we talk about that? And Pastor, you were saying something about love, and I think you hit on something. And I don't want to ramble. I'm just going to end the question there. I think as we communicate, whether we take the shot or not take the shot, I think the whole conversation has to be done from a point of love. Now, I was walking through the living room and I heard my wife, she was watching The View, and they were sitting there saying, well, how do you feel about the people who haven't taken the vax just staying at home since they scared of taking the vax? And everybody was like, ooh, yeah, that's a good idea. And I remember I said, well, why don't the people who were afraid of corona, I said this a long time ago, why don't they just stay at home? And then everybody said, you can't do that. That's wrong. So now I know we don't want to politicize and all of this, but it just feels to me like confirmation bias is running rampant in our country right now. It's running rampant in our country right now. And I feel like as a society, since this vax hasn't been tested, it hasn't, been approved, I feel like it would be dumb. I feel like it would be ignorant for 100% of us to take this, because if it does go south, then guess what we've done to humanity? So, so where's the talk about natural immunity? And does anybody want to comment on anything that I've just said as well?
Let me jump in. As long as, so in our country, we have freedom, okay? And a lot of the country doesn't understand what freedom means. It doesn't mean that you can say anything and do anything as long as I agree with it. It means you can say anything and do anything as long as you don't obliterate the rights of someone else. And that's what that means. So as far as this conversation is concerned, if you don't want to take the vaccine, you have the freedom in this country to not take the vaccine. Flip side of that is you must take the responsibility of not spreading your shit everywhere else. So if you want to wear a mask, great. Don't get the vaccine if you don't want it, but you have to do, like we were talking about before, the necessary work. So stay home. You can stay home. Don't interact with other people. Wear a mask if you're outside.
But why? Why do I have to stay home if other people have taken the shot?
Yeah.
Listen to me. It's been proven 97% effective, as Dr. Coney just said. It's been proven that the people who have the shot have nothing to worry about, pretty much. They don't get sick. They don't go to the hospital. So now, everyone who's got the balls and the intelligence to take the shot and the smarts and the understanding of science, right? Just hear me out. Go on this thought experiment with me. They've put themselves in a great position. They've got airbags. They've got a seatbelt on, and then there's these schmucks, as we like to say, that are going through the world without a seatbelt on or whatever, and then something happens to them. So then God bless them. So what am I spreading to you guys who have got the shot, who've got nothing to lose? So then you're going to say I'm spreading it to other people who haven't had the shot, right? Well, guess what? They're in the same boat with me. They've made a decision. Well, go ahead. I want to hear you guys' response. My bad.
If the vaccine, nothing in medicine is 100%. So are you going to be comfortable with the fact that if the 3% of the folks who can still be infected by you will be infected by you? Are you going to be happy with the fact that because of your because of anybody's lack of getting this vaccine, you're allowing you guys who are allowing the virus.
We'll throw it to you next, Tori.
To enter a host and then mutate. So now the vaccine, which is 97% effective against the virus that we have, now has to fight against a virus that is mutating. So this is the snowball effect that happens. So the folks who don't want to get vaccinated, that's great, that's your right, but then understand what your lack of getting the vaccine does to the rest of the population potentially. It means that you can infect other people. It means that you can allow the virus to mutate and then render the current vaccine ineffective or less effective. These are things that, again, have to be taken into effect. If you want the freedom to do what you want, then you have to take the responsibility to deal with the consequences of your freedom. And that's what a lot of people in our country don't want to deal with. It's just like, think about it this way. The anti-vaxxers with measles was eradicated. Now, because over the last 10, 15 years, there's been this rash of folks who say, oh, because of not necessarily scientific evidence, oh, I'm not going to vaccinate my child because of autism. Well, now measles is coming back. And so because you don't want to get a vaccine, how about this kid who's got measles now or has some kind of horrible reaction to the measles virus and is now got some kind of central nervous system disorder because you didn't want to get a virus, because you didn't want to get the vaccine. Okay. I mean, these are the things that we have to start thinking about. This is public health. It's not just, okay, I don't want to, so what's the consequence? If you don't want to, there is a real consequence and you have to be ready to deal with that. But if you want to have your freedom and not get the vaccine, then you have to separate yourself from the general population. And as far as natural immunity is concerned, you realize that if you're relying on natural immunity, you're also going to open yourself up to brain fog, to cardiac issues, to, as far as this virus is concerned, chronic fatigue, chronic, lung. There are folks who need lung transplants and heart transplants after being affected by this virus. Why? Because they didn't want to get the virus? Okay, so now how much is that costing the health system to do a $100,000 heart or lung transplant operation, or taking that heart and lung transplant away from a person who could have used it if you had gotten the vaccine? So who makes these choices? There's again, the snowball effect is amazing if you really sit down and think about it, because one person doesn't want to get a virus. How many people are you affecting down the road? I mean, it gets mind-boggling when you really sit down and think about it. But again, if individuals don't want to get the virus, that's your right. And that's why people have died in wars and,
well, none of us want to get the virus. You're talking about the vaccine, though.
The vaccine, I'm sorry. And so that's why we have the freedom to make those choices. But again, what's freedom with great power and great freedom comes responsibility. And that's the flip side of this coin that needs to be discussed. And so if you want to remove yourself from that, then you have to go all the way, in my opinion.
Go ahead, Tori.
Can you not get the virus if you're vaccinated?
You can technically still get it. Now, again, with this Delta variant, now, before Delta became a big deal, there were studies that showed that folks who were fully vaccinated were not carrying the older variants, certainly the first couple of variants. You weren't going to be contagious. That's what a lot of the studies were showing.
Okay.
But as a result of the new variant, and again, this is how quickly this stuff changes. These are living organisms, and they are about their own survival. And so as they change to maintain their survival, the results that we have from our vaccination protocols and programs all change. And sometimes they go out the window, and so again, that's why that being the case, could that
I mean, just throwing something in the wind, just because you mentioned it. Could the variant be from that? Could that be where the mutations came from? Is that a possibility?
Any living organism, and what we're seeing here is Darwinism in its purest form. What normally takes thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of years for organisms to evolve from the pressures of their natural environments. We're seeing these viruses react to their natural environments, which is the human host, almost in the course of months.
But essentially, you guys are preaching forced abortion, essentially. And roll with me on this. You're preaching, okay, there's a woman for, and the doctors are saying, you need to have this abortion or you're going to die. And that's happened to my mom, and it's happened to a lot of people who've made testimonies, and they've decided to have the baby anyway. But everybody, all the king's horses and men and all the science is saying, you got to do it or you're going to die, or this child's going to be born autistic, or this child's going to this and that. And there's been parents who've pushed through it and had a healthy child. And then so you guys are essentially preaching forced abortion, because society could then say, I'm just saying, where are we going to stop? Who's making these decisions? Because whose body is it? Society could then say, well, who's going to pay for this autistic child, and who's going to pay for all these programs? This child will never be able to afford itself and never be able to pay taxes. So we have to abort, lock her up, abort. So basically what I'm saying is I'm not on that other side, what you guys are trying to say. I'm not there. My main thing is this: if the guy with the straw hat, with the tinfoil hat, if the 1 in a billion chance that the guy in the tinfoil hat is right, it would behoove us as humanity not for everybody to take the jab. That's all I'm saying.
So this is the difference between that, what we're talking about, and forced abortion. With when you're talking about a vaccination protocol, you're talking about stopping a virus from mutating and causing a totally new disease. In a situation where you're talking about abortion, that individual couple is making a choice based on that individual couple and what they want to deal with in their life.
Correct, based upon their religion, based on
a whole bunch of factors.
Yes.
The difference here is
based on the female, actually.
Well,
correct. That's the way the law is now.
Sometimes the guys are involved. Let's be honest. But
true.
With a public health crisis like this, we're talking about not just that couple or that person deciding not to do something. We're talking about the ramifications of that spiraling into the population at large. And that's the major problem. We wouldn't necessarily even have a Delta variant right now if more people got vaccinated, because the Delta variant has come about because every time that virus enters the host, there's a chance for that virus to change some part of its genetic code to increase its survivability. And that's what we
including people that have had the vaccine.
Correct. The virus is always going to be entering hosts. It's entering hosts who have the vaccine. These hosts are becoming COVID positive again, has been proven. So then, and people who've had COVID the first time. So the virus to me is like a fungi. It's like a fungus. It exists. Viruses have existed to get us to where we are now. I mean, I don't think we could. I think if humans eradicated all viruses, I think humans would no longer exist.
But I'm sorry, Pastor. One more quick point, and then I'm going to step back for a second. But you realize that if more people got vaccinated, the rate of mutation, because obviously the way this stuff happens is the virus mutates all the time. Sometimes the mutations increase survivability. Sometimes they don't. Most of the time they don't. And so if more people get vaccinated, you're not going to have 100% eradication of the virus, but you're going to have such a high level of immunity that virus will get destroyed almost as soon as it gets into the body. And any small number of times that virus actually gets to the host, the chance of it leading to a useful mutation is negative infinity. as opposed to if you have 30% of the population not vaccinated, that chance of mutation, creating a useful mutation for that virus, goes up exponentially. Who knows how many millions of times the rate of success goes up. So that is the essential part of the science of all of this. Not that you're going to get, because even the best vaccines aren't 100% effective, but you reduce the chance of exposure to the host to such a small degree that the rate of mutation is so infinitely small that it can't produce enough of a change to help that virus. All right, I'm out, Pastor.
No, you're fine. Nah, let me work on your sensationalism. You are being sensational with the fact that you said I am asking for forced abortion. No, nigga, I'm asking you to pull out. I'm asking you to step up. I'm asking you. You know what I'm saying? So let's make sure that we detract from your dog whistle that you blowing to push the California agenda. I'm just being goofy, but the point is that I'm asking you that if you're not going to get on contraceptive, what an IED, not a, how that's a bomb, but if you're not going to get an IUD, right? If you're not going to get on contraceptive, if you're not going to get on them other things, cause I'm asking you to pull out. I'm asking you, bust one in the face. I'm asking you to strap up. I'm asking you to pull all the other options that you just not pull out because you don't feel like it. Like, I need you to give me more than that, because it's the fact that, like they said, 729 from just wearing a face mask.
But does everybody
Hey,
hear?
hold on.
But these guys.
No. You gotta let me finish.
But do you hear his argument? He's asking me.
You gotta let me finish. 729 from 22,000. Nigga, pull out. That's all I'm saying. Pull out. Spill some seed on the ground. Be an abomination for 3 seconds. Pull out. That's all I'm asking. I'm not saying everybody got to get a contraceptive, but God's sake, at least pull out. It ain't 100% effective either, but it goes a whole lot further than just laying in that mug. That's all we saying. And I think the idea is to make your point, you have to be so audacious and bodacious and gargantuan with your point and use such a polarizing concept that you put us in the position to where now Dr. Gray, in all his celestial understanding, stayed on a vaccination when the truth of the matter is there are other tiers of circumstance. So, for example, Dr. Gray, you saying 68% of America is vaccinated.
Dr. Gay.
I'm sorry, I drink a lot. 68% is vaccinated, and the reality of it is 34% of the whole state of Tennessee is vaccinated. We're the other side of the coin. And then your people is coming down here to ride rail cars, and your people is coming over here to go to Splash Mountain and climb a mountain, because where you're from, we're at 80% vaccination. Well, down here, we got the variant. And I'm not saying it to be disrespectful. I'm just saying to be transparent. We got people passing blunts at the 420 Cafe. Dang.
And so I think one of the main points here about the vaccination is not about reinfection. Okay, it's really about getting extremely ill, getting on a ventilator and dying, and that's really what it comes down to. I mean, none of us wants to lose our loved one from a decision that could have been prevented. And let me just tell you, those social determinants are more common in our community. So if you have diabetes, if you have high blood pressure, if you're obese, if you have asthma, any type of underlying comorbidity, you're at more risk of death. I don't know what else can change your mind to do something positive. Now, I believe in you have your own freedom. I got people in my own family, they don't take the vaccine, and that's cool with me. But if you don't take the vaccination, then you protect yourself. I'm not concerned because I've gone through the worst of the pandemic, I hope so, where we didn't know a whole lot. And I kept myself safe, and I saw patients every single day. I saw 97 patients today, okay, from all walks of life. I see people off the street. I don't know where these people come from. They come from nursing homes. It doesn't make a difference where they come from because I know how to protect myself. I go to Haiti every single year and provide free care, and there's all sort of stuff out there. And I get dengue fever, You know, all these other kind of stuff is out there, but I know how to protect myself because I understand universal precaution. The same thing about a condom. We're in the same point we were back in the HIV pandemic, where we were scared to go out with somebody. But if you tested for HIV or you've been out with someone with HIV and you wasn't quite sure, it was your responsibility to do the right thing and not just go out there being free willy. Either you have to abstain or you have to protect yourself. Because you know what? During that time, it was a very scary time. And it's the same, it's just now. The only difference is that you had to, and we really didn't know back then, you didn't know if you can hug somebody or kiss somebody or use the bathroom. We thought you can get it from urine on it. I mean, there was all these misconceptions, which all were not true. Now, bodily fluid was really the rate of transmission, okay? But we are at the same phase of a public health warning where we are then. The difference now is that you could be sitting next to someone who's asymptomatic and become sick in between 10 to 14 days because that person didn't know it. And that's that's something that's very scary.
Yeah, you guys are gonna have to build an Amish community for the non-vaxxers, because I wonder what the Amish are saying about this. I mean, I listen. I feel you all 100%, and I appreciate your passion. Both you gentlemen, all three of you gentlemen, I really do. I really appreciate your passion, and don't think that these words that you're saying are going on deaf ears. And this is why we're here. This is what the Self Love Nation needs to hear as well, because these brothers are coming from a point of view of reality. You know, they're the ones out there on the front lines doing this, that, and the third, and that's what they're saying. This is what they're saying. Now, what you don't want to happen is you can come up with corona and have your organs start shutting down and things like that. You know, that you hear has been happening to people. So. There is that to consider. So again, and in fact, because you guys hear me saying what I say, let me just stop right here and give this disclaimer. This content is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified health care providers with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. Anybody want to add something to that? Because I do have a question that I've been burning to get off my chest here.
Go ahead, shoot.
Okay, all right. I appreciate that. So this is moving into the more of the side effects or potential side effects. If you guys have heard anything on the vaccination, because I guess if our goal is to vibrate love and get the non-vaxxers vaxxed, then, we would want to, address the non-vaxxers' concerns. As they say, what's in it for me? That's what the non-vaxxers say. Now, have you gentlemen heard anything about the J&J side effects? I think they said it's a real small percentage, but some sort of nerve side effects.
Guillain-Barré. So basically, paralysis or Bell's palsy, right? So facial paralysis.
Yes.
Very low risk, but you do see it, and so it's just like anything. Nothing, you know how it goes, you guys. Nothing in this world is free. Nothing is without some sort of risk. Nothing's 100%. And so there have been those folks who have had some of that stuff, but you can get Guillain-Barré from getting a cold. You can get Bell's palsy or facial paralysis from a viral infection. You guys realize shingles triples more people than any of the side effect or the risk of side effects from
shingles is from chickenpox. So
it is,
right?
So you get chickenpox, and it lies dormant in your central nervous system in the dorsal root ganglion. That's what just happens as a response to stress. Usually when you're 50, 60, 70, virus gets reactivated and it comes out. And if it comes out on you, oh my God, Joe, you've seen somebody with in your practice, I'm sure, and even in residency, somebody's got shingles. of that branch of the facial nerve, oh my God, it's excruciating, right? And so these kinds of things are around, you know, and so you just have to deal with the actual numbers and see what the science is, you know.
And these things are very rare. I mean, you know, virus is a well-known issue that causes, you know, Guillain-Barré, ascending paralysis, another name for it. You know, and when it comes to, you know, facial paralysis, I mean, we see it in our clinic. You know, it's not an uncommon thing that I see because I'm an ophthalmologist. And yes, you know, there's, you know, when it affects the B1 distribution of the tip of the nose, you know, it kind of goes in the eye too. So that, you know, we can call it, you can go blind from a shingles infection. But again, these things are extremely rare. You know, most people don't realize that the most common cause of liver failure is Tylenol. You know, I mean, because you so rarely get it. I mean, everything we have a side effect. You know, there's so many people that have penicillin allergies. I mean, that was a really big thing, right? But if you had syphilis, guess what you needed? You needed penicillin. You know, if you have something that goes to the brain from syphilis, you know, we call it tertiary syphilis. You know, there's certain treatments for it. You don't realize it until you take the antibiotics. Every drug we have a side effect, but you know, as long as the pros outweigh the cons, then we deem it safe. Every time you get in a car, there's a risk of you having an accident. You know, when you send your kids to school, they should come back to you. But there's a risk every time we do anything. Every morning you get up, there is a risk, but those risks are extremely small. And then that's what it's about. It's about just keeping yourself safe. Again, I'll say it again, you know, because I think this is for your audience. This is if you don't take away nothing else from me today, it's bad. It's just limiting severe sickness and death. That's it. And that's my tagline amongst all the smoke that we're talking about, because at the end of the day, all the, you know, how we, you know, manufactured, you know, the drug, all the side effects, this is the main thing. We'll figure everything else out. Everything is happening so fast. We don't have the ability to sit back and really analyze the situation because things are happening so fast. And there's a Lambda variant going on right now in Peru. There's going to be so many more variants coming out. This is just one variant. There's going to be another variant coming out. And as long as you are, you know, not getting, you know, permanently sick, I think we will figure it out. Scientists are pretty smart. There's a lot of smart people working on this. These are extremely, you know, bright labs. They know how to, you know, grow this stuff up. They know how to treat it. There'll be different drugs, you know, but what we've done in the past year and a half from a medical standpoint is phenomenal. Now that may, you know, part of this, you know, what is it, warp speed or whatever, I think it had a negative kind of, it was always a positive thing early on, right? That we're making something, but now you don't want to take it. That's quite interesting in itself. And then you're right, you said it earlier, it's not FDA approved. And I don't think it's going to make a difference when this drug, and it will get FDA approved. Right now it's only for, you know, emergent medical use, but when it's FDA approved, people have already made their minds up. The conversation that we're having, people have already heard it. That's the other issue. You know, I think the most important thing is the right information. You know, you got to separate what's right and wrong. It's not about what we feel. It's about the facts. And these are the facts. And those are the facts that we lay out. And then it is what it be. And as things change, the facts may change, life change, but we change with that. But you can't say, well, we did X, Y, and Z back here and we made the wrong decisions. Well, we made those decisions on base what we had. If someone comes in and they have, you know, a red toe and 6 hours later, Dr. Gay comes in and now his flesh is eaten away. He said, you know what, this guy has a flesh-eating bacteria. Now we need to take him to surgery. Well, he was like, well, you just told my son he just had maybe an infected toe. And now you're telling me how to cut his leg off? I mean, everything changed within a few hours. That wasn't his initial assessment. But he recognized what was going on. And in order to save this guy's life, he had to amputate his leg. Now, no one wants to hear that, but that's how medicine is. Those are the facts. And it's hard for us to live with those facts.
Kind of sounds like my mechanic when he, you know, takes a look at the whip and he's like, yeah, Yeah, and then they call you back later, like, yeah, we gotta, yeah, we can't use the aftermarket part. You know, we can't find it.
Well, that's because you look like new money, and so he wants you to buy new car.
That's when I started telling them I'm from the South Side, Chicago. Hey, you guys, look, we want to take a quick 6 minutes. 6 minutes, and then we got about 45 more minutes of your time we need. That's it, I promise. And we really appreciate you guys doing this. We really appreciate you doing it. We got some true false for you, Pastor Stewart. You know, we want to ask you about the flock. Like, are they taking a shot? Are they coming to you and asking for counseling behind it? You know, I know you can't talk about literally what they're saying, but we want to know what you're hearing from the people, because there is some spiritual consciousness behind this. There's a side to this for a lot of my elders, man. And so since I'm on this side of it, you guys, through confirmation bias, you guys are going to talk and you say this is your stance, and I had the shot and I had the shot. And so people are going, yeah, I had the shot. And you guys all talk and reinforce each other's thoughts. People who haven't had the shot do the same thing. And that's why these conversations are great. But I do want to hear from Pastor Stewart as to, you know, what are you hearing from the flock on the biblical side? Like, what are they saying? Like, is it a biblical issue for people, or is that just something that people are using for an excuse for fear and ignorance? So here we go, Self. I'm throwing it to you to take us to halftime, G.
Yes, sir. I want to thank y'all for being here. It's been a blessing. Expanding the Self Love Nation. Self Love Nation. Like, subscribe, share, far and wide. We're growing this, and we need your help. Y'all been a blessing to us, and absolutely, we need you to grow to get to where we need to go. And we're providing content like this, so thank you for being here. The Self Love Show, Corona, with these gentlemen. And we'll be right back at you. Check out these videos, let you know what's going on.
You may find yourself living in a shotgun shack, and you may find yourself in another part of the world, and you may find yourself behind the wheel of a large automobile. You may find yourself in a beautiful house with a beautiful wife, and you may ask yourself, well, how did I get here? Letting the days go by, letting the water hold me down, letting the days go by, water flowing underground into the blue again after the money's gone. Once in a lifetime, water flowing underground. And you may ask yourself, how do I work this? And you may ask yourself, where is that large automobile? And you may tell yourself, this is not my beautiful house. And you may tell yourself, this is not my beautiful wife.
Who fancies himself as a rapper, but is also a member of a gang. There's been an ongoing conflict between his gang and another. He was live streaming his travels through the city, and he was found.
Same as it ever was. 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 Same as it ever was.
He fancies himself as a rapper, but is also a member of a gang. There's been an ongoing conflict between his gang and another.
Same as it ever was. Same as it ever was. Yeah. Terrible. You may find yourself living in a shotgun shack. You may find yourself in another part of the world. And you may find yourself behind the wheel of a large automobile.
silence is violence, and evil's greatest ally. Those who turn a blind eye act like they don't know why. Say the police would not use such behavior. If you white, you right and have favor. But if you black, your body's piled high. Sight unseen, right in front of your face on the video screen, know what I mean? Popo lie. Fear for their life from an unarmed man. I guess he felt melanin was his weapon. They kill.
Nigga, get your hand out my pocket.
Get no charges and go free. So we need to be on our P's and Q's. Don't play no fool. The rules ain't fair. Life ain't no crystal stair. So we best prepare. Our little people, if you see something, say something.
12.
Show the world we do care. So beware. Silence is violence. Get you a trip to the devil's lair.
Self love, you done did it again, Luke. You a genius.
And even in this instance, if I could be of service to a 9-year-old girl or a 19-year-old woman or girl who wants to be a woman, is to really remember that self-love is the best way that you can receive love from anybody else, because it's coming from you. A lot of times we forget that. We look externally for this love. We look externally for this feeling of validation and adoration and approval, and it has to come from within.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Welcome back to the Self Love Show, where today we're getting it in. We're unpacking Corona with Dr. Robert Gay, Dr. Joseph Coney, and Pastor Brian Stewart. It's my joint, Trafe. And I'm just want to say we are expanding and growing. It's a great conversation. We're building. And let's get it.
Yeah, and big ups. And I want to say thank you once again to these gentlemen for their time. And we are going to value their time and keep this pushing. I did want to mention, though, if you need a world-class ophthalmologist, Dr. Coney, that's where you want to go. Retina Associates of Cleveland at www.retina-doctors.com. So if you don't want the vaccination, don't go see Dr. Coney. But if you do need a retinal specialist, world class, check that brother out. And then we also got Dr. Gay in the building, and then of course Pastor Stewart. And can you also show us your book as well? Give them the title and tell them where they can get a copy and everything, bro.
Title is Getting Out, Stepping into Faith with the Unknown. It's on Amazon. It's on Barnes & Nobles. You can also get it at natsel.org, natsel.org.
Big ups. Black authors, black literacy, man. That's how we're going to get there.
Yes, sir.
Man. So,
appreciate it.
Yeah. What's that, Noob?
Oh, no. I was just saying appreciate it.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. So here we go. We got I want to roll into you guys the treatments. Any treatments you like. I've been hearing about some stuff like ivermectin. You guys just say get the vax, or let's say if you had the vax and you got it, would you prescribe ivermectin? Any of you doctors, would you prescribe that?
So ivermectin is a medication used for parasites. We use it in ophthalmology for onchocerciasis, which is the same thing as river blindness. President Carter has pretty much used his whole post-presidency in fighting river blindness.
Where's the river?
With the ivermectin. Ivermectin has also, been used for other things that's been shown that it has various similarities to COVID and how COVID binds to the host, and that's kind of how the medicine works. But there's no FDA or there's no FDA approval, number one. There's no long-term randomized clinical trial, which is what we really need to know. You can't just have anecdotal type of positive responses. The other problem with ivermectin is that, you need such a greater dose in the plasma to have an effect that we don't even know if that's very healthy in the human body. It is true that it decreases some inflammatory mediators, particularly things in the lungs, and I think IL-6, which is really important for like fever type things. So there's beneficial evidence that it does block those type of, immunologic, we call them cytokines in medicine, but basically these are just pro-inflammatory things which go through a whole cascade. But how I look at medicine is that things need to go through a randomized clinical trial. And we had that with the vaccinations. They went through a clinical trial. They went through the test. And let me just say this about how fast we did this trial. I know that people look at a 6 months or a year because we had the first 6 month data, then we have a year data. But in normal clinical trials, you don't even have this many people signed up. Okay, so let's just take an antihypertensive medication. You may get maybe 300, 400 people enroll in a study over, the enrollment may be 1 year. Now it may take them 3 years to recruit for this clinical trial. So you may not get the data 3 or 4 years later. The reason why we were able to do this clinical trial so fast is because we're in a pandemic. You have people lined up outside the door willing to sacrifice themselves to see if this thing worked. And we knew right away because the incubation period is actually so short. And so we were able to get that information extremely quick. So when you look at information, well, all you have is 6 months. Well, that's all we have for the pandemic at the time. When they released the data was actually 6 months, and now it's 1 year. So people have to understand how clinical trials, this is always like, with all the trials combined, they were having like 60,000 people per trial. That's a lot of people in a clinical trial. And so these side effects that we talk about are so minimal compared to the 95% efficacy that you were seeing, that we look at that from a medical standpoint. This is very effective when it comes to saving lives and preventing severe illness. But when it comes to using off-label use, and I'll throw this in too, hydroxychloroquine, right? Because that's
another one. Inhaled.
I am one of the doctors that look for complications for hydroxychloroquine because it affects the eyes. It causes blindness, by the way. And I saw a lady today. Last year she was fine, and this year she started having what we call, toxicity in the eye. So at high doses, when we used to use this for things like malaria, all these folks went blind. We didn't know that it affected the eye. We didn't know that if you had kidney problems, that you had to decrease the dosage. So if you'd have went all nilly and put everyone on this medication, you would have more complications, more side effects. People having more problems with their kidneys and going blind than you would have probably had from it being effective.
And then I want to keep going. Fluvoxamine, azithromycin, doxycycline. I can't pronounce all this, but yeah, you guys want to comment? And then I'm going to throw it to Pastor Stewart on the Christian question I have for him.
All these drugs are, as Dr. Coney was saying, is called off-label. So anytime you go through the whole approval process. The FDA especially will give you a limited number of conditions that this drug is used for. Now, occasionally we'll see what's called off-label use, because as a side effect, we might see a totally different beneficial effect of the drug beyond what was originally approved for. So that's why you see some of these drugs used as what they call off-label, for off-label indications. But a lot of these things were, especially in the initial part of the pandemic, this stuff was changing weekly. Throw this drug in there, throw this drug in there, and for example, like when Trump got hospitalized, he was hit with, monoclonal antibodies, remdesivir, all kinds of, chloroquine, all of this different. And basically they threw everything at him, and what stuck was like, the pasta on the wall, and so they didn't know at that point what was effective. And so that's what you're kind of seeing now. A lot of these studies coming out now is showing that some of these drugs are useful, some of them aren't. There's side effects that are coming up with all these different drugs. And so I will go back to my original comment. The only thing that's effective in this whole thing is what we know already: masks, hand washing, and the vaccine, and so, because I'm telling you guys, once you get this infection, if it's severe enough, you just, this virus is unlike any other in that it affects so many different organ systems. Most viruses will affect, flu will affect the lungs, for example, or whatever. This thing is hitting brain, it's hitting kidneys, it's hitting, and some of it has to do with the body's own response to the virus, the immune response. The younger the patient is, the more powerful the immune response. And so sometimes that immune response begins to attack the host. So that's why a lot of these people are dying, because their own immune system was attacking its own body because of the virus. So it's just, there's so many different things to try. There's so many different things that have been tried, but most of it's not really long-term effective.
We've seen people go blind from COVID. There's a lot of, because it causes, occlusions, so we see retinal occlusions in the eye. We've seen a lot of crazy things in the eye. You can even get COVID toes. I mean, every single part of your body, this thing can affect. I mean, and it affects everyone differently. And so this is not like your routine flu, where it only affects your lungs, and those that may get, the sickest, may have, maybe the elderly. We didn't see very young people or very, healthy people dying of the flu. They got sick. All of us, miss a few days of work and you're back. It's like dehydration type symptoms, right? But man, these are healthy athletes. I mean, what better specimens do we have in our country than our athletes?
Our military.
Yes, that's true. But the last study that I saw was before the Delta variant. The folks who were getting the sickest before Delta were 30 and 40-year-olds. And the 60, 70-year-olds who have been vaccinated, their numbers are plummeting. And you're actually seeing these younger patients get sicker. The other thing is the Delta variant, as a routine, has a shorter incubation period. So usually we would say, 5 to 14 days. No, this thing is hitting people harder and faster, So, this is to be very, you need to be very concerned about this.
Well, the old folks got it. I mean, the old folks, knew, because when they came out, it was saying that if you were young, you couldn't get a problem. So the people in my clinic, the older people got it. I haven't seen any older person that got it unless their grandkids, brought it over to them, like, recently. And most of those folks got vaccinated. Dr. Gay, you mentioned earlier, it's less than 50% of the country is vaccinated. Now, you may have pockets that may be upwards, but, and there's some pockets is actually lower than the 48, 49%, that we have. But if you start to skew, and if you look at your pastor, if you look at your congregation and you put them in different quartiles, you'll probably see those people older than 70, they may be 90% vaccinated. But as that age come down, you'll have more people not vaccinated. We just opened up our church for the first time. And I go to it's mostly an older congregation. And it's our first service this Sunday. We all still wore our masks. You know, we all got emails on how this first day was supposed to happen. I was on the COVID task force to how to integrate, you know, our first service safety, because the first thing we didn't want to do is, and it's a new building as well. Okay, God bless us with a new building during COVID. We didn't want to go into a new community with a new church and then get shut down because we spread the virus. So we tried to do everything the correct way. But when we quarried our congregation, all those folks over 65 years of age, all of them was vaccinated, almost 100%. And I think that's the difference we're seeing now, because we're seeing younger people, and these are the younger people that are now going out. Did you guys see the championship game last night?
Well,
I mean, you wait another week or so,
bro.
Man, Milwaukee is going to be
Milwaukee's about to be a hot spot, bro.
And they were out in the street. Well, I want to ask Pastor Stewart, because we can go on and on about the championship, but Pastor Stewart, is there what are you pastors getting together and you know, when you have your pastor meetings and, you know, and talk about your anti-Baphomet strategies, like, is there a narrative that, you know, the pastors are running, or the ministry, and even for you all who attend churches, like, what's the Bible saying about this situation here specifically? What's the scripture that you could tell somebody who says, you know, you couldn't pay me to take that jab? So in Pastor Stewart, and then I'll throw it to you guys.
Man, we it's a well, I guess what the Bible verse, the quote is, be it according to your faith, be it also done unto you. I think that's kind of what we're dealing with. We got one group of people that is flat out condemning us because you know, we allowed a virus to punk us, and Christ is supposed to be over Corona. And then we got another group of people that believe in the Bible verse that says, you know, Jesus says he's departing from the disciples, and he says, maintain until I come again. We got another group of people saying that, and that is their justification for going back and forth. The pastoral community is even split because we're some of us are that dogmatic in both ends of our faith, if you will. But the other awkward part is, you know, my institution is a bit more institutionalized.
Institutionalized. I got you.
I know I got it out when I wasn't trying to say it. Institutionalized, and the issue we ran into.
Teachers used to threaten me with that all the time. That's why I know how to say it so well. Institutionalized. What are we talking about here? But go ahead, bro. I didn't
All right. So long story short, we never missed a check. The other dudes that did. You know, and now the livelihood of their family, I think, is in some instances can be waning, just like small businesses. And you're running into some of that, and it's testing the pastor's faith in a sense. The other side of it is also the other direction, right? There's other dudes, you know, like myself, we're getting paid regardless. So we may have the privilege, in a sense, to be overly cautious and maybe not actuate faith as much as some people would believe. The difficulty of what I'm finding, though, is the lack of presence of Christian community is causing a degeneration amongst the Christian council. You got to realize these people are hearing negative news reports, negative videos all day long, whether you're anti or pro. And the numbers are negative regardless, you know, whether the influence is negative or whether the numbers are negative, it's negative media all day long. And what I'm now finding is my members are reaching for faith and not, as the doctors and I have to do all the time, testing things against other things. You know, and I'm not saying it'd be harsh or to tear anybody down, but, you know, the only thing worse than an ignorant person is a halfway educated individual. because now they know enough to where you can't tell them nothing.
A smart dummy is this phrase, a smart dummy.
You know what I'm saying? Because now if you would even explain to them the flaw in their, conclusion or in their hypothesis, you are now tearing down not just the evidence, but now their hard work.
Correct. And, and it's tough when we're that person, when we're that uncle, we're the last ones to know.
Yeah, exactly. And so the hardest part is the hardest person to save is an already saved person. So it's really difficult to really reach people right now because they're so busy being left to their own. I'm so busy handling catastrophes that now stuff that don't make sense is weaving in. And something that you have to accept, Nine, Tori, Dr. Gay, Dr. Coney, we're the talented 10th.
Boy, hey, now listen. You better get that name. You better get that name right.
No. So, I'm sorry. I'm just saying.
I mean, it was. Listen. It didn't involve me when you were just butchering his name, but once I tell you how to say it and you keep butchering it, now it's personal. Because I told you how to say it, and you want to continue to butcher it. Now it's an affront to me. Now it's an affront to Tori. But no, I digress. Now I want you. We got some questions, and I'm tripping. We got some questions in the chat here, real quick. We got some questions. I want to acknowledge the chat. Big up to Trife Mac. Big ups. Thanks for your support. Money B. Yo. I'm the overseer. Said one love, self love. That's brother Pullen. Yo. And he said, respect to Dr. Gay. He said, I don't want the vaccine to potentially harm me. All right, Dr. Gay, that's what he said. He also said, are other countries, and this is a guy, he's raising children. And, he's probably raising, the fruit don't fall too far from the tree. And he's probably telling his kids, don't get that shot. This is what you guys are dealing with, ignorance. But no, respect. Now, he said, are other countries trying to get 80% vaccinated? So you guys want to answer that?
I think that's in most countries in the free world, that's sort of the what you aim for, certainly most countries in the first world, yes. But if you go to other countries where, there are other political pressures, Brazil, for example, where the administration is questionable, they're not necessarily of that same mindset. So once the science identifies a number, it says if the population at large reaches this number, then you're able to acquire what's called herd immunity. And what that means is, again, basically goes back to what I was saying. If most people are vaccinated, then they don't allow the host to enter, and that does a lot of things. Then the virus has nowhere to go.
Yeah, less places to go. The
virus basically either lives out in the air but has no effect, and certainly it can't mutate and cause a new disease or a new problem. So yes, that is the fact. Most civilized countries are trying to reach that herd immunity reached by a certain number of percentage of folks being vaccinated.
Pastor Stewart, the question in the chat is for you. It says, does faith trump, you guys are saying that name a lot, does faith trump science? Or does faith ride in science?
Science explains faith.
Okay. All right. Well, those are the questions from the chat. I know you guys want to jump in, so I'm going to throw this one to Dr. Coney, and then you guys and Dr. Coney address this question, but you can chime in on anything else you just heard or you might have had in mind. Is a virus alive? Is it a living organism?
So I think, is you asking me a yes or no answer? Is that what you're looking for here? I'm going to say yes.
Yeah, I think Dr. Gray would agree with you because that's how you answered it last time.
I mean, viruses have organelles, they have cytoplasm. They have all the working things they need to function. I mean, they're different than bacteria. That's what they call viruses.
Yeah,
but they are living organisms.
Okay. All right. Well, then you guys are both on that. I know there's a whole lot of stuff. It's a rabbit hole, and I know you probably look.
That's a fact. It's not even a question.
It's the same thing Dr. Gay said last time.
And so the issue. So this is the point I'm trying to make about just information. I mean, these things you learn in biology class in high school. The difference. I mean, there are things that you can do to actually just watch things live and replicate them. You just can't take anything dead and replicate it. How do you take something dead and replicate it? You need a system. You need organelles. You need a nucleus. You need a nucleus. You need
Henrietta Lacks.
You need. That's something.
So a sperm.
That's another.
Tori. And a sperm is a living organism, I guess, too.
It moves. It can reduplicate itself. Well, actually,
the jumpy thing out in front of the car dealership telling you to come in and the car moves. You know what I mean? I'm just throwing that out there. But
they all may not be moving, but there's some moving.
But I suggest you guys look into that rabbit hole. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying peer into that rabbit hole.
All right, so when you peer into that rabbit hole. So the difference between life and a living organism, what does that mean? Genetic material that can replicate itself. That's what life in a living organism is. Now we get into a slight difference in that because the sex cells, which are the eggs and the sperm, don't have the ability to replicate themselves. They're only one half of the genome, right?
By themselves they can't.
By themselves they cannot. But when they join, they create life. And that life is an organism which has genetic material which can replicate itself, and that's the definition of life, And so viruses definitely fall into that category. They have genetic material which can then infect its host and usually what they do is use their host to replicate or use their own DNA to replicate their genetic material. So that's life.
If you can't pay taxes or flip off 12, you know what I mean? Piss on my leg or something like that, you're not life. Anybody want to add to that? Because I could move to the next one. Okay. All right. Here's the next question, you guys, and great job on those. I appreciate that. I've been hearing about, and this goes into my line of reasoning, where would it stop? Dr. Gay and Pastor Stewart heard my thought experiment on one of the previous ones when I went into a whole psychological thing. It really got Cannon wasn't even the doctor. He got all roused up behind that whole thought experiment. He wanted to jump through the screen and choke me. You know what I mean? And, but big ups to Cannon and so I won't go there. I'll just say this. This is another one. This Texas monkey virus, I'm sure you doctors have been hearing about it. And Self Love, you might remember on Greater Beta TV when ignorant individual like myself was bringing up coronavirus because I thought that was a one word and I thought that's how you pronounced it. And I was asking all the doctors and scientists about it. And I was like, I'm reading this stuff coming out of China. Oh, no, it's okay because the doctors and we were The next thing you know, we're all shut down. So now I'm going to ask you guys about this Texas monkey virus. All right. Concerned? Anyone? Concerned?
Right now, I have to claim a certain amount of ignorance. This is the thing I'm reading is released 5 days ago. So monkeypox is rare, but potentially serious virus illness that typically begins as flu. I don't know that much about it.
I'm reading the same thing, and I'm not familiar with it.
All right, well, that's fair enough. That's fair enough.
In other
I
words,
got that from a reputable news source, though.
COVID is here, and it's not rare. So I would be more concerned about COVID than monkey. Definitely.
I mean, are you trying to make the association that this came out of a lab or something?
Well, the association, I'm glad you brought me back there. I was going with that, Dr. Coney. The suggestion was, okay, so we have another virus that potentially could, God forbid, become, say, as dominant as Corona. And so then we have to come up with another treatment, which would be another vaccination. And my feet are firmly in the concrete on, I just feel like it's my body. And I know you guys feel like I'm wrong for that, and just like I really pray that I'm wrong, about the whole vax, which would mean that everybody else would be safe and my life would be at risk. And I'm okay with that. I'm not trying to sound heroic, but I'm okay with that. I pray that I'm wrong in everything and that everybody's right. But I want to roll into so anything to say about that, Coney? So like, where would it stop is what I'm asking, Dr. Coney. So, man, like, where does it stop? You guys, like, I'm a person, I don't even take aspirin. I don't take Tylenol.
Listen, we're going to be faced with things our whole life. Okay. There are different classes of viruses and bacteria that may have offspring that we haven't even know about yet, but they may have similar type of characteristics. And our society will build something, whether it's an antibiotic for bacteria or whether it's a vaccination if there's an outbreak. We're only going to get a vaccination if it becomes like a pandemic or epidemic or something that is starting to affect, a lot of folks. Okay, if it's these little one-off type things, it may not be that infectious, or you can be infectious, and if it's not killing you, maybe something doesn't happen. But when you get things such as virulence, such like a smallpox or measles or a tuberculosis, or now we talk about COVID, these sort of things can wipe out a whole society, and that's the reason why we have vaccinations. And we're going to continue to have vaccinations for the rest of our life. That's why we have a whole series of vaccinations now. Our medical advancement doesn't stop with the vaccinations we already have approved. They're going to continue to change. I mean, these things that we eradicated, we haven't eradicated. They're just no longer a threat to, mainstream society, but you can still get the measles. People still can get, the chicken pox. We don't hear about HIV, but at one point in time in my life, I couldn't walk in a hospital where the whole ward was HIV patients. We had a whole rotation just in infectious disease for HIV. And I can't tell you the last time I saw somebody come in my clinic with HIV retinopathy, which was the most common reason why they was going blind with PCP, lung disease. Our differential diagnosis was a whole lot different then. That's because we have medicines for it, and thank God for a person like Magic Johnson who really put that on the map for blacks, because we were skeptics. But when Magic came out and said he was positive, that changed the game. And that really decreased what we had going on. I don't know why we didn't do such broad campaigns like this for this problem here, because there's unfortunately some people only listen to certain filters, and they have. I shouldn't use the word idols, Pastor. Sorry, but there are some people that look up to other people, and so you get like a LeBron James, where people say, if it's good for LeBron, it's good enough for me, and that was important for that part of our life back in the 80s and 90s. We needed that in this day and here, but we will continue to have things that threaten this country. Plagues are not anything new. We had plagues in the biblical time. Okay? This is not new, and things will still progress. And as things progress, we will find treatments for it.
You know what the difference is between the AIDS pandemic or the AIDS situation and now? Lack of leadership. That's what the difference is. You had a whole series of folks coming out saying, this is nothing, don't worry about, I don't need to revisit the rhetoric, but that's the difference. And there was a respect for science, even though the strange thing is, even though AIDS as an HIV affected sort of a non-glamorous demographic, right?
Right.
The people were allowed to digest the science of it and understand that, okay, T cell, blah, blah, blah. And you were not allowed, you weren't given that with Corona. And that's it's crazy how that was allowed to happen.
But would y'all also feel like overexposure to avenues, man? I mean, WebMD got you dying from cancer every time you look up a diagnosis. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I hate to say it, but just so many different sources of information without people checking the source that they're using for information. There's articles, there's things that you can do to back check and reiterate things that we're just not doing today. And I think a lot more research, because it had to be done in a library or in some type of constitution of books, had a little bit more conviction and less mythicism and less conspiracy theories, et cetera, et cetera. Where right now, Wikipedia was our greatest gift and our greatest curse.
Well, you know what? And I'm going to really get under Tori and Mill's skin here, because I know how they probably feel about this. President Biden came out and made some strong words against Facebook, and I think people mistook those words when he said that Facebook is killing us.
Yeah.
What he's saying is that
he said they're killing people.
What he's saying is that the information that people are reading through Facebook, the bad information is killing people. That's how I took it, and it's true. When people look at these, Facebook has a way. Listen, I don't do any social media. When we were doing this tonight, I emailed you. I'm like, hey, how do I log in? Because I'm just not that savvy. That's not me, and I don't want nobody to know what I'm doing anyway. But the truth of the matter is that when people read certain things on Facebook, they know how to tag you on certain things. They know what you like, and they keep feeding you bad information as soon as you hit on something bad. So all you see is all this bad thing and bad information, and it poisons your mind. And they have no idea what goes on. They don't know the facts. And because they don't know the facts, they make themselves dangerous. And when they're dangerous, they expose themselves to society, which shouldn't have to be exposed because of their lack of ignorance.
Mm-hmm. Well, I laughed about it because the same person.
Facebook should decide.
Hold that there. I'm gonna throw it right back. This ain't even for them to respond, but I laughed at it because the jackass, our president, who said it, is responsible for the crime bill, and I'll never forgive him for that. And I'm just one person, all right. And he did a lot of other stuff that I won't forgive this man for. He's the president, but just because we had another jackass that just lost an election, it's not gonna make me like this jackass. So this jackass, in my opinion, all right, comes out and says that, that's killing people. The reason I reacted to it, then, that's propaganda. And so we can admit that information and propaganda has killed people and it has the ability to kill people. Then let's just not, it's reckless coming from I'm just saying, then let's unpack all the propaganda that's killing my people. But Self Love, go ahead, bro.
Yeah, speaking of that, so Facebook gets to decide what's the wrong information.
No, but if you read something, I think it's our responsibility.
No, the president does, according to these guys.
But I'm saying as a person. So first of all, none of us need anybody to tell us, how to conduct ourselves responsibly. Okay, so when you read something, it's our job to fact check. If someone tells you that your wife is doing something, I think it may be better for us to do our homework versus trying to just come out and just approach it, because it could be miscued. Now, it may be right and it may be wrong, but you have to do your research.
That's
right. I'm a researcher. When someone tells me something, for every 5 things someone tells me something for, it's gonna be 5 things against, and they may be right. But then there's always some truth when you start digging through the weeds. But when I look at something that come across my feeds, I get crap on my email all the time. And I know it's not true because I'm an educated person and I can look at words and I know.
So you're saying stuff like drink bleach and it'll cure you from
coronavirus. I don't think the president bleached in the hospital and he was a proponent of it.
Right. That's actually happened.
That's the one thing that he didn't take.
Right.
So that gets back to my original point. A point I made an hour or so ago. Most people in our country are so lazy. We don't independently think. We don't read and think about stuff. Somebody says, okay, the sky is blue. Do you actually look up there and see it? Or do you, oh yeah, sky is blue. And in these times, the other problem we have now and what's different with AIDS, and we were talking about this, is there's so much information out there. And, you hear this old saying, information is power. That's not true. Knowledge is power. And what is knowledge? Knowledge is information or facts with context. And that's what people don't have. So the internet in all of its glory is a magnificent thing. But given to the masses who don't have the ability to independently think or even research what they see, it's a problem.
But this is going to sound really stupid, but if you guys, the internet is just a platform. It's an extension of humans and human minds and thoughts. So basically, and this is going to sound really dumb, but it isn't. Me and 20 other guys are on 74th and Colfax having a conversation about ivermectin and everything else. And we're saying everything that goes against, the CDC and everything. We're just having a personal conversation. Now, it's not on their platform. And then the president or somebody else can come around and say, hey, look, you're killing people by sitting here speaking and telling these people lies. And that's where it feels weird to me. I don't just wear this, for, fashion statements, because people look at this and they think I'm some sort of a Donald Trumper, but I'm not. Hey, we had a great question in here from Trife, and I'll let you guys go back to that because I'll be saying stuff and then running. Hold on, throwing rocks and running. But here we go. Trife Max says, why are they trying all the tactics? And I know how the doctors are going to answer it, I think. Why are they trying every tactic to get black people to take the jab? Rap songs, jail incentives, free weed. I hadn't heard about the free weed. Oh, they see. All right. Well, hey, send me a link, right? I'm on my way. And then celebrities. And then he said it's disrespectful to him. But I even heard somewhere where they were paying people to get the jab. And as J&J, they're private entities, man. I need to go invest. But you guys want to handle that?
I don't know. Yeah.
To save lives.
No, it just comes down to, again, understanding information and context. That's all. And I don't know. I don't know how
that thing up. Vax that thing up.
Yeah, I agree. I think that some of these things have been, they may have been very good think tanks and how to get people motivated to take get the injection, because we all understand that if you don't get the injection, this thing is out there longer. So everyone's going to get back to life, right?
Yes, sir.
So, but I can understand, what I don't understand is about our people is that they're, we become these, how do I say this delicately? We kind of pick and choose, some of these things that we want to argue, and then someone want to give you $1 million, but you don't want to take it, but yet you can't even feed your family.
Yep.
I don't really quite understand some of these concepts.
It's Charlie Brown kicking the ball with Lucy. You remember how Charlie always had reservation when Lucy was like, "Come on, Chuck, come kick the ball." It's that. But go ahead, bro. I'm just telling you, that's what it is.
When this vaccination, when this virus first started, the people that were dying at a more alarm rate were Black and brown people. You guys remember that? No one talks about that right now.
Yes.
There was social determinants and other things that we were more exposed to, and this really has to do. And listen, it's a bad thing on medicine. This was the black eye of medicine, of not taking care of our people for generations. This was generational health literacy issues and not taking care of the people that we should have. So
it's not just on medicine; it's on the churches who were serving fatback and pork in the back. It's
don't
not
get
just
him
on medicine. It's on the whole
with this body shaming and all this.
Well,
correct. Big sugar companies. But go ahead.
Because we have such hardcore evidence that, if you go into the emergency room with a pain and a white person does, they're more likely to get pain medication and you don't. We're just not treated the same. The mortality rates for Blacks and Latinos is much higher. That's just a fact. And
the access to quality health care is different.
That's right. And so this became more magnified, because how does something that has no racial predilection, attack certain people differently. And so part of it was trying to educate people in the Black community, giving them these incentives to go and have the vaccination. Now, the problem is that I think all of us have gotten way, way overexposed. People have become, more skeptics than ever, because every time the first thing you do when you turn on the TV is they're talking about the vaccination. It's information overload.
Somebody who had a reaction to it.
Now it's like, well, why are they trying to sell me something? We shouldn't have to sell good medicine. But that's what it's becoming. And even it's become FDA approved, people have already made their minds up. I don't think FDA approval of a vaccination is going to increase vaccination rates.
But the other problem here is, again, the access to information. Everything is sold now. Everything. You got companies on the TV trying to talk about how you need to talk to your doctor about this knee implant versus that one. What the heck is going on? So we're in an environment and in a society now where everything is sold. And
everything. So all the data.
Everything.
Man, I saw something. It was a guy, instead of 5 years probation, he got 1 year probation for taking the vaccination.
Hey, wow. True, false. You got Tori.
Robbery,
that's how
dude.
Cosby got out. Do you know that?
Armed robbery.
Bill Cosby took the vaccine and got out. Did you know that? My God.
Hey, here we go. True, false. The CDC should listen to the church. The CDC should listen to the church. True or false?
False.
Yes.
False. True or false? The church should listen to the CDC.
True.
Scientists.
True. What are we discussing here? What are we discussing here? Gay takes care of humans that are worth millions of dollars by themselves. They have insured body parts. They're worth millions of dollars. And somehow or another, my 45-minute Google search trumps this man's years of experience in watching the body react. Have we lost our cotton picking minds?
Hey, you guys got it. You got ye of little faith. You guys have got to read amazing testimonies. And I'll send you that book.
No, I would like to mention that.
Like I said, I've seen people. Self Love has laid in the bed and had doctors tell them this and that.
No. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong.
You know what I mean? Hey.
No. Nah. I love you, cuz you're a professional troll. I love you so much.
I love you more.
Let me tell you this right now. I have been in a room where people have been not breathing for hours, and we prayed them back to life. However, we are not discussing situations where we perpetually need an act of God. There's two different parts in the text where it says, do not tempt the Lord your God. And in the same part, you're also supposed to follow him. We have situations where people are being perfectly ridiculous about life. They are the equivalent of what some of the decisions is, putting on a blindfold, walking across the business street in the city with a blindfold on at 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
But we ignore all the scripture, meaning, a lot of godliness is how you eat. You eat to live. And this is what I'm trying to get into. Are we eating vegetables? Is everybody just pushing this white man's science and this white man's vax? And we're not dying because of this. We're dying more because of our ignorance about what we're putting into our bodies all the way around. So it just so happened we have diabetes. We don't have any natural inclination for diabetes.
Agreed.
We don't take care of our bodies. So what I'm saying, we don't take care of our minds. We don't get psychological counseling. We don't find ways to ease the stress and the trauma, and that leaves us more susceptible to viruses. I've not had a flu shot. I don't get the flu.
Yeah.
Although I think I had COVID.
Let me just say this.
14 months ago. But go ahead.
That's what I'm saying. I got COVID, but I never had a flu shot before.
Let me just say this. Sometimes the white man has a good idea.
Correct.
He ain't always wrong.
He's not always wrong.
But this is answering why I asked the questions. He was asking why I asked the questions.
But let me just say this.
I'm just saying, you're saying pushing the white man's vaccine. I understand, and that's how sometimes we think.
The white man's remedies, yeah.
But there's good science. There's good science behind a lot of this, and that's what gets lost. It's not white, black. These diseases don't affect white versus black. You know, the virus doesn't care what color you are. The virus doesn't care if you love
Doesn't it
or
kill more and attack more?
But
so this is a virus. I mean, this is a vaccination that was steered by a black woman, by the way. Kismia Corbett. You can Google that, okay? So this is not a white man's vaccination. This is a black woman's hard work that has found a way to actually eradicate, hopefully, a virus. So you need to Google that name and get them that, because this is something that we are responsible for, and we need to celebrate these people.
Yeah,
these people never talk about this woman. This woman she's a young pioneer, and she's black, and she's making strides, and she needs to be noted for the work that she's done.
And she's a devout Christian. Now, so that needs to be said too. So let's say this: God or science is going to end this. God or science?
God through science.
God is everything. He can wait with a blink of an eye. This could be gone, buddy.
I mean,
hands down.
But you know what's going to happen through the awareness of human beings? It's going to be science. You know that, right?
Oh, absolutely. No, that's why I say God through science. Like, it's a vehicle. Like, so to the quote that Dr. Gay had, the knowledge of God is power. That's what the Bible says.
Like that Christian he just mentioned who came up with the vaccination. She said she was using her power with God in concert with her science. Right. And then look, we got an answer. It was both, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, in agreement.
Correct.
Total agreement.
Correct. Dr. Corbett would be a great example. Do you guys agree with the government's current vaccination policy and stance? Meaning right now we're opening up certain venues. As Dr. Gay indicated earlier, the policy now is, if you don't have the shot, you have to wear the mask. But of course, they're leaving it up to every Tom, Dick, and Harry to naturally do the right thing. When we watch 60% of the people come out of the bathroom after taking a number 2, men and women, without washing their hands and put soap and water. So now you're entrusting society to keep their mask up and to tell you they haven't had the shot. So do you guys agree with how this is going, or is there something that you would, tweak?
Well, right now there's a scientific number, and there's a certain positivity rate. They look at what's the positivity rate if it's less than 4 or 8% or whatever. And also they look at the number of people who have been vaccinated. Once you reach a certain threshold, yes, you can open things up. Are a lot of these folks lying out there? Like I said before, you know it. A lot of these folks are lying out there when you say, oh, yeah, I'm going to take my mask off because I'm vaccinated. Well, you can't go by that. You go by, really, the statistics are how many people are vaccinated, what's the positivity rate, what are the curves doing as far as how many people are hospitalized, what's the positivity rate, how many people in the ICU, all those numbers, most of those numbers are falling in most parts of the country. So I am comfortable with it, but primarily because I'm double vaccinated, but I think most people are vaccinated enough that I think it's okay. As long as I don't see the numbers start to do this, as long as they're still doing that, I think we're okay.
Yeah, I'm okay with the current policy. I mean, there's not going to be any current policy. Anyone over the age of 12 that can have a vaccination, I think should be on the table. How they open schools up, I'll let them have that fight. But I do think while we're in this pandemic, I think that suppressed communities need to fight for money for better schools, bigger classrooms to be more spaced out. So there could be a silver lining into the things that we can get our own community to have the right infrastructure. So while we sit back talking about these complaints, there are some things that we can capitalize on and trying to make things better. I think that's where we really should be taking this discussion. We can sit here and talk about the issues, but the big issues are, well, how can we make us better? Because we don't want to go back to where we were before. That wasn't good at all either. Everybody could be going to go back to where we were. Back to where we were was not very good. But we need to right now, we have a movement in this country as a people, as a race, as Black and brown people, to get a little bit better than we had before. We have the ability to negotiate our salaries, which we never had before. So we're always talking about all these other things, but what we should be talking about, how can we get ours? You know, now is the time that we can get our reparations from the times that we didn't get a fair value. I saw a lady the other day asking for money, and right behind her, I saw a help wanted sign. I mean, it's no reason why anybody who needs a job can't find a job right now.
Facts.
And I just can't feel bad about it. But you know, we're in the medical community, we're pushing that needle with people that we need to make sure that we get the equity that we need for our patients, that we're trying to train more Black physicians to take care of people that look like us. We're trying to get more people to sit at the table, more people to sit making clinical trials, you know, people behind the scenes that can make the differences in our lives. That's what we're pushing for. Those are the discussions I think we really should be having at this table.
Yeah, and those are you're talking about solutions, reopening strategies, and things like that. And you know that was set up for the final segment, but we've gone so long. But so I did want to I'll table this question because we were going to get into reopening strategies, and things of this nature. We were going to discuss like how you guys think the reopening is going. Like what I feel is that, this should be looked at on a county by county basis. It has to do with like, I think what Pastor Stewart was just saying, I believe that was him. Look at the data that's coming in regarding the infection. Maybe that was Dr. Gay, but do it on a county by county basis as far as, how you're operating. Of course, it gets weird when you live in a city like myself. I live in Inglewood and there's a big stadium and there's going to be millions of people coming in here, so I don't know how that's going to work. But should we shut down again if there's a new spike, which seems to be happening right now? I'm seeing it on the news. So, should they shut everything down again?
Can I say something?
Absolutely.
What would be the crime in making a penal code or a civil code for it to just be illegal to walk around without a mask until else otherwise? I mean, if you feel that it's morally and ethically insensitive to force vaccination, what you can do is force a mask the same way we force seatbelts.
You can't right now because the prior administration prioritized personal freedom over personal responsibility. And what that means is, so anything which restricts anything that's uncomfortable, people don't want to do right now.
So now I want to say it, bump white privilege, because that is only an efficacy that is reigned within that community, and particularly usually the poor white trash and or the right wing. Like, we got to get away from it. Like it comes to a point at which we did not make it optional for a seatbelt or for somebody to choose their own freedom. At some point, we've got to make that same kind of conversation that you will get the same living experience wearing a mask, walking from store to store, as much as you will get one going in and out of your house. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got to come to some point, because that's politics, and politics is just a voting opinion.
But most people don't want to do anything that they're uncomfortable doing. I want sugar in my tea. I don't want to cook. I want to go to Chick-fil-A and get blah, blah, blah. I mean, that's the society we live in. You think about 50 years, 70 years ago, our grandparents and my parents, World War II, you couldn't get groceries.
No.
Let alone, my personal freedoms are being infringed upon by wearing a mask. We live in a totally different society now, because all of this stuff has been made available to us, and we've become, like I said, lazy as a society. It makes a lot of sense to say you can criminalize not wearing a mask. You could make an academic argument about that because of the risk to the public within this pandemic. But most people won't buy that, because their idea of personal freedom is personal comfort. And what they don't understand is personal freedom means responsibility more than anything else, and the ability in our country to allow everyone to be heard, you know. It's not just what you want, you know, and that's what people get confused about in our country. Freedom and being proud to be an American. I see this stuff all the time. It makes me sick.
Yeah.
It's not about, you know, your definition of America is not the only definition. Why do you think, for example, the guys in the NFL got pissed off when Colin Kaepernick was kneeling because they didn't agree with his politics? But the very reason why he should have been able to kneel was because in America we have the ability to kneel. That's what freedom means.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean that you agree with my politics. It means that your politics are okay as well as my politics. That's what makes our country unique. But we've lost that idea, you know, and the whole melting pot thing is a glorious experiment. And so, but that's our problem.
I think the other part of that, though, that's all right. But the other part of that, until it infringes on someone else's safety and freedom.
And again, people don't realize that. You know that, right?
And that's going to be the argument about opening up colleges, trying to mandate you to go back to school, because yes, college students have the right and the freedom to be able to do these things, but
but me not wearing a seatbelt doesn't infringe on anyone's safety, you know, and I had problems with that. Let me say this. I hear a lot said, and I have to somehow every now and then say some things.
Yeah.
That damn insurance thing, I'm older than you. That seatbelt law, nobody cares about you or your family. If your head goes through the thing, nobody cares. Dr. Gay even mentioned earlier, who's going to pay the medical expenses, because now it costs more. You need kidneys.
Yeah.
And it's more. So this is about the money. Nobody cares about me or you or the next person. That seatbelt law was pushed by big insurance. You check it out. It was pushed by State Farm. And what they did was they wanted to make sure that everybody had insurance so that they can get money on top of money and take your premium and take Dr. Gay's premium. And then you have an accident and they keep getting money. They never pay back any. So they got money on top of money, and nobody's insurance ever went down. And we got our butt cheeks spread, and as a community, and we got raped because the people who make less money, that's a bigger chunk out of their income. Now, here's the thing. If you want to go get a Rolls Royce and you got the money for the Corvette, then you better have the money in case some jackass came and slid into you without no insurance. Go ahead, Dr. Gay.
But one question, are you safer?
That's how I feel.
Are you safe?
But I have insurance. I got State Farm. Go ahead.
Hold on.
I got State Farm too.
Hold on. Are you safer wearing a seatbelt than not?
Absolutely.
Aren't you safer when you wear a seatbelt than not?
Absolutely.
And wasn't that law effective as far as affecting affecting the public safety?
I would say it saved a lot of lives. I would say that. It's probably saved me from time to time too. I mean, you're talking to a guy whose head actually went through the windshield as a boy. So yeah, so I would say yeah, but I just don't like the forced me spend my money. I don't like that, man. I don't like it. I do not like it. I don't like some smug, rich, above middle class, driving around in their nice stuff. This guy hit my car, and people are just trying to move back and forth and get to work. It's an accident. A lot of states are no fault states where they don't even care about that. So, but that's a whole nother issue, because what I would have liked to have seen was mandatory life insurance. If your society cared about you, they would have had mandatory life insurance, but they'll never do that because they don't care about you or your kids. So that's why I had to throw that out there, but I just have to, and small ups to the big insurance, because they'll lobby, bro. They'll lobby Congress, and then they'll start pushing this agenda in the media, and they'll make everybody think that this is an issue. They could say that fluoride in toothpaste is an issue tomorrow, and it'll be a big thing, and it'll be a big toothpaste company that wants to put out Crest. And I'm a conspiracy theorist, so I'm just gonna leave that alone. I'm off topic.
All I'm gonna say to that is
conspiracy realist.
All I'm gonna say to that is look at pictures of people in Great Britain of their teeth and look at ours. That's all I'm gonna say as far as fluoride in the water.
There's a major difference.
That's it.
See, he's the reason why they think it's me. By YouTube, dingus.
Next topic.
Now, let me ask you guys this: true or false? Unvaccinated folks should be required to stay at home.
False.
False.
They can be required, but
Nah. That would be infringing upon a freedom.
But you asked what's the difference with the Amish? See, the Amish understand that, so they stay home. Right? We were talking about the Amish. Right? The Amish keep amongst themselves because of whatever they want to do. And again, that's something they understand as far as their, I don't know, there's personal freedom, personal responsibility, but I don't know. People should not be required, see, because that eliminates personal freedom. Personal freedom means that you accept that. I'm not going to get the vaccine, so I'm not going to inflict my potential infectivity on the rest of society. And that's how it should be.
Well, I want to ask you guys this, and then I want to cover like anything y'all want to cover that hasn't been covered, and we can shut it down. And this is a controversial question, and I figure that the pastor is going to jump down my throat the most. But would Yahshua take the jab? Would Jesus Christ
Boy.
take the jab?
Oh,
okay.
That's for anybody. Anybody can answer that. Self Love, would Yahshua take the jab?
In my opinion.
He would say, "Come to me, and I'll give you living water." That's what he would say.
I just about to say he wouldn't even deal with your question. He would deal with the reason why you have the question.
No, he wouldn't.
He wouldn't even touch your question. Because if you look at the direct questions that Jesus is ever asked, there's about 10% of them he directly answers. The rest of them, he deals with the intent of why you're asking it. But he'll
answer it with a question.
No, sometimes he tells you what difference does it make, but to know that the Son of Man is in control of either situation. Like sometimes he literally asks the question, but he gives the answer at the same time. So
but
I mean,
we're supposed to walk like him, and we meditate, and we're supposed to move like him.
No,
I'm not talking to the scientists.
I should have figured this was a chess play. I should.
No, and this is for everyone. This is for everyone. I mean, that's the question. I mean, my simple answer would be no, because he doesn't need it, and he could heal himself from a virus, and the virus could not, take over his body. So
I don't think it's
I would
about
say
him
no.
doing that stuff. I think that Jesus understands his role. I mean, his role is to bring people closer to his Father through him, and he wanted them to understand by different parables and examples and at questioning their own soul, where they look into their own soul and then say, you know what, I am missing something. I am hungry. I do want something better for myself. How can I get that? Then that's how he works. He makes you do that interceding thinking on what I'm missing to get hungry so I can learn more about you or him in that case.
Which in short, he never answers your question. He goes for the reason why you asked.
Well, you should be asking the pastor that question.
No. Go ahead. Go ahead.
The pastor addressed it.
Go ahead, associate pastor.
I mean, both of y'all addressed it. It's still the same outcome. No.
Yeah.
And Dr. Gay, what would you say, Dr. Gay?
This is beyond my pay grade. I mean, I don't have an educated response to this. I'm just listening on this one, which, as you guys know, is unusual for me.
Hey, that's fair enough. But I want to ask you guys as we go around here, because we're wrapping it up, is there anything that you guys really want to say? I did want to play the name game. That'll take about 9 minutes, but really about COVID. I know you doctors are really passionate. You took an oath to save lives, and same thing yourself, Pastor Stewart. You took an oath to save spirits and souls. So I do want you guys to wrap this up, put in a conclusion, and I'll start with Dr. Coney, and then we'll go with Dr. Gay, and then we'll have the pastor have his final words on this topic about COVID.
I really don't have much more to add. I think we had a nice, robust discussion. Again, I think, if you don't take anything away from, I think that this discussion is that, the vaccination is not about, can I get reinfected? It's how can I not get seriously ill and die? And we all have responsibility to our family. We have responsibility to our communities. If you have young children, the last thing you want to do is bring something home to your family, because let me just tell you, it's really hard to deal with. I didn't go see my own mom. My mom passed last year. I had to live with not seeing my mom for a whole year during that time. Luckily, she didn't pass of COVID, but I wasn't there when she took her last breath. And I stayed away because I'm just taking care of patients every single day. I'm still in my scrubs. I haven't put on clothes. Normally I come in, I shower, but I was really running behind for this call here. I'm still in the grind, and I wore suits every single day. I probably got 125 suits. Okay. I'm in suits every day, and I probably wore suits a few times, and most of them are the funerals. But I'm in scrubs every single day still, where they go in a certain bag, where my wife, when I first came home, would not let me walk in the house with clothes on. And so I'm still in that mindset. You know, I do believe that the virus is out there. I do think that we're on an upswing. It doesn't make a difference to me who comes out. I know how to protect myself. And I think that's the most important thing. If you haven't learned anything about this past year, you know how to protect yourself. You don't need anyone to tell you right and wrong. You know, that was a great thing about being a parent. At some point, we have to make our own decisions. And so part of you making your own decisions is learning, you know, how to make, you know, the decisions what's best for you. If this isn't best for you and you feel that there's something negligent about what the medical society has done or is trying to do, then that's okay. But just know the facts. And I think that's the most important thing. As long as you can know the facts, you can make an informed decision, and you can feel comfortable with your decision and sleep at night.
Man, appreciate that. Dr. Gay?
So my thoughts about vaccination and COVID are understanding our responsibility to each other as human beings. This is a public health crisis. And what that means is each of us has to understand what our role is as far as making that better for not only ourselves, but society, you know? So that means if you choose to get the vaccine, you do so because you realize that getting the vaccine allows you to prevent yourself from being infected, but also allows you to stop yourself from infecting somebody else. It also allows you to stop from whatever your part in it is. You're stopping the virus's ability to mutate. God, that's important. My God, that's important. Because if it doesn't, it can't get in me or anybody else, it doesn't mutate, so it goes away. And so those are the things. And secondly, and probably even more importantly, independently think, independently read. Don't listen to your boy on the corner, because that's the other thing I was going to say, which if you're having a conversation with a bunch of your boys, it becomes about prove it to me, you know? And so prove it to yourself by reading about this stuff and learning about it. And so those are the other things. That's the only thing, all right?
Man, big ups. Pastor Stewart?
I always tell people, know your privilege and know your purpose. There are some of us who have the physical youth and health privilege of taking it without any concerns, or even surviving the virus without any concerns, regardless of your position, and realize that that is a privilege. Conversely, also realize your purpose. If we do continue to try to perpetuate this culture of, you know, self-love, loving people, loving others, loving self, then you have to consider the idea that though I exercise self-love and not having to force or choose to take the virus for whatever reason, the vaccination for whatever reason, I also want to make sure that I perpetuate that love, but make sure I do not potentially affect someone else who doesn't have the privilege to make that choice. There's some of us who have very much so pre-existing conditions. There's some of us that are older and on certain medications, heart patients from birth, not just because we're negligent and fat and eat a lot of cholesterol and I can't believe it's butter. But the reality of it is that of those groups of people, you have to realize that there are still declensions, there are still groups to where there's a privilege and there's a purpose, and make sure that based upon your purpose, that you are honorable with your privilege, to make sure that you do not infringe on someone else's purpose or privilege to live.
Man. Hey, I want to, before we just play this short game, I want to just tell the Self Love Nation, anybody that catches this, big ups to these gentlemen. You know, I know they're in the grind, they're working, and they, you know, sat through this, and they're doing this, like Dr. Coney said, if it could save one life, you know, it's got to be worth it. It's got to be more than worth it. So really want to tip my American flag bandana to you gentlemen for doing this for the Self Love Nation, and then for the show, and then also for our community. So big ups, big solid ups to you guys. Game really quickly, guys. I think everybody knows how to play. So Self Love, if you start it up, we're gonna get this going so that we can wrap it up and see who's gonna win today. But if you guys blurt, you can blurt. But if you blurt a wrong answer, Self Love is gonna mute your mic, and then so you're out of it for the question. All right, you're out of it for the.
Does the reigning champion get any
perks?
Any perks?
Well, you've got your perks. Your Bears got a quarterback finally. You know what I mean?
Who they pick up?
From Ohio.
Justin Fields.
Yeah. All right. What'd you say, Dr. Coney?
From Ohio.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
When was the last? Actually, from Georgia.
And the last one from Ohio, you should have sent back here because he was a bum.
Yeah, he was. He
I was
gone.
about to say, who was the last good quarterback that came out of Ohio? Say it like they said about Jesus. Can anything good come out of Ohio?
LeBron James.
Barely.
Curry.
Man, he from East Michigan.
LeBron
James.
LeBron's from Ohio.
No, I know. I'm just being reckless.
Curry and LeBron was born in the same hospital. His father was here playing for the Cavs when he was born.
Oh wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dale Curry.
Wow.
Facts. That's facts.
That's some good history there. All right, let's jump into it, y'all. If they're from Chicago, we'll you know what? I'll just let you know if it's a free clue. So here we go. This is the name game. First clue. We're looking for the name that we're looking for. Just blurt out the name. Human nature.
Michael
nature.
Jackson.
Ding 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 ding. Michael Jackson. Here we go. Free clue. This giant is from the Windy City. And when they go low, we go high.
Michelle Obama.
Who said Michelle Obama?
It's his cousin.
Yeah, I heard it from Coney. Yeah, Coney got it out first. That was Coney.
Yes,
yeah, that
did.
is his
That was
cousin. His
Coney.
first cousin.
Yes.
Yeah. She always had that sass, bro. What you want? Michelle, what you want? Wings or you want legs? You know I want the wings. You go low, I go high. You get chicken legs, I get chicken wings. You know what I mean? Big ups to Michelle. All right. Here we go. All right, here's a good one. Not from Chicago, but everybody should know this individual, including you, Pastor Stewart. Someone mentioned someone, huh?
Somebody said something. What did they say?
Pastor said Michael Jordan.
I'll shoot for the Blake, bro.
You want to cut his mic off, so
yeah, that's what I was. That's what I was getting at. Like, who said that?
There you go. Good job. Get ready to catch that. All right, here we go. All right. Someone mentioned earlier syphilis, and this notorious gangster allegedly died from
Al Capone.
Yeah, that was close, but Dr. Coney gave it up to Dr. Gay, so that's Dr. Gay's point. That was close. Yeah, syphilis. All right, here we go.
Oh, sorry.
Let's unmute. Okay, here we go. Yeah, he's a Southsider. Yes, sir. All right, everyone should know this. This person is not from Chicago. This person is not from Chicago.
9 pointers here. The first were 6 pointers.
Yes, these are weighted more. These are 9 pointers. All right. This person, this giant of the black community, is to Saturday Night Live what Michael Jordan is to Nike, some would say.
Eddie Murphy.
Who said Eddie Murphy? I tell you what, Dr. Gay. Hey, see, this might be a little bore your time, Pastor Stewart.
No. I remember Eddie Murphy on Saturday Night Live. I'm just
yeah, but the whole thing about Jordan, the whole comparison.
Fair enough. Touche.
If I'd have said something about Kobe and
I didn't be a hoe. No.
Yeah, like if I say Dick the Bruiser, you don't know anything about Dick the Bruiser. All right, here we go.
Nothing about Dick the Bruiser.
See,
Maybe the crusher.
All right, here we go. Free clue. This person is not from Chicago. All right. Giant. I've never heard free clue. I've never heard one bad thing about this giant. All right, here we go. The Book of Eli. The Book of Eli.
Denzel Washington?
Don't be scared. Come on,
Right,
man.
No, I'm tired of getting muted. I'm tired of getting muted, man. I got muted the last
Denzel
one.
Washington. I figured the pastor would know that. You know what I mean? He was watching it. You know, he did a whole sermon on it probably. Still waiting to do it. You know what I mean? I just don't know if I'm ready yet. Yeah. All right, here we go. yeah. All right, here we go. I grew up behind the curtains at church, bro. All right, here we go.
I
All
don't
right, here we
know
go.
about the curtains.
All right, here we go. This individual, this giant of the Black community, is not from the city of Chicago, so everyone should know this. This giant was said, allegedly, to have walked away from $50 million contract because he
Chappelle.
I'm sorry?
Dave Chappelle.
Ding, 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 ding. I'll tell you what, you know all this trivia.
From Ohio.
Hats off. Hats off to Dr. Gay's significant other, because
That's good stuff.
yeah, their TV time, he's right there. You know what I mean? She's keeping him abreast. All right, here we go. All right, here we go.
We're into the 12 pointers.
Yeah, 12 pointers. Here we go. 12 pointers, guys. These are, you can still win because these are weighted more. Here we go. This individual is not from Chicago. Your free clue is this. Notorious Black gangster. Here we go. This notorious Black gangster is currently serving a life jail sentence in ADX Florence prison.
Gay knows it, apparently.
What was that, Pastor Stewart?
I said Gay knows it, apparently.
Okay, he didn't say a name, so
Was it
his mic
Tookie
stays on.
Oh, no,
Who'd you
there
say?
go. He's out of there.
There he is. He
There
had
he
to say
goes.
something.
Got me again.
There it is.
I was
He had to
guessing.
say something. Yeah, there he is. All right, we got more clues. You don't have to guess on the first clue there, Pastor Stewart. All right, here we go. All right, this notorious gangster that everybody from Chicago should know who it is was said to have founded the Growth and Development Movement. Growth and Development Movement.
What did he say?
Notorious Chicago gangster.
Not you. I was asking somebody said something. I need to cut somebody else off out there.
Hey, we might need some help from the chat. Next clue. This notorious Chicago gangster who founded the Growth and Development Movement in Chicago was recently in the news and was denied release from prison. Recently in the news last week. Came in front of the judge. The judge said that they won't release him because he was in jail for conspiracy. Last one. Was said to be the founder of the Folks Nation. Folks. The gangsters. Now, come on, Inglewood, Coney. You've got to know this.
I'm thinking Ford, but I don't know the guy's name.
You grew up in Inglewood.
Oh, he said Ford, so he.
Okay. Last hint. It's all on Dr. Gay. His first name is Larry.
Larry Hoover.
Ding, 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 ding. Dr. Gay, you've been in Ohio way too long. Way too long. And I think we may have to revoke your Chicago pass. Self Love, make sure you be his driver whenever he comes to the city. Get him around safely.
Yeah,
Get him a sweater. He's probably cold.
Yeah,
And he's
everything's
moving so fast now. That's
the first 12-point question. That's 8 points.
Man, I know your gas in Chicago is ridiculous, bro.
Well, I mean, it's nothing new. Come on. It's just, again, everybody's got cameras and it's a whole narrative going on, and don't get me started. All right, here we go. It's not as cracking still as it was in the 90s. Here we go.
Or 70s.
Correct. Here we go. All right. Free clue. This person is not from Chicago. It's not from Chicago, so it's fair for everybody. This doctor of education was mentioned in today's show because he was recently released from jail.
Oh, come on. I can't say it.
Oh, Bill Cosby.
Thank
you. There it is.
Oh.
Hey, why did you say he was released from jail, Dr. Gay? You gave a reason. I forgot what we were talking about.
Because he got
he took the shot. Yeah. He got him and Camille. He got Camille to take the shot too. All right, here we go, y'all. We only got 4 more. Here we go. Good one. Not from Chicago. That's your free clue. Everybody should know this except for Pastor Stewart, because he's still got milk around his upper lip. But here we go. He might be able to figure this out. Here we go. You got what I need. But you said it's just a friend. I heard Biz Markie. Who'd I hear from first?
Ding, 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 ding.
Ding, ding, ding. Rest up, Biz Markie. Rest in peace.
Did
you know that, Pastor Stewart? Did you know that?
I actually did for once. I appreciate Coney giving it to me. I appreciate you.
All right, here we go, y'all. Here we go.
Now we're entering the 18 points, so we got 4 more
Yes.
questions.
You can still win if you get these 18 questions, and don't let Dr. Gay get all the answers. I mean, come on. This guy, he's a world traveler. He's a world traveler. That's what it is. All right, here we go. Here we go. This person is not from Chicago. This person is not from Chicago. Free clue. This person is a rapper. All right. Had a beef with 50 Cent. This rapper who's not from Chicago had a beef with 50 Cent. Next clue. This rapper who's not from Chicago who had a beef with 50 Cent is a notorious name dropper. He is a notorious name dropper.
I don't know. I know. I can't really guess. It's why you doing this. It's why you doing this now.
Yep. This time I didn't tell you guys the name of the game before we started playing the game. I didn't give it to y'all then, but notorious name dropper, beef with 50 Cent. He's a Bompton Blood.
Oh my God.
So if I didn't tell him the name of the game at the start of the game, did I?
No, I mean, but it's all good.
All right.
Name of the game is the name of the game. So.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Here we go. Last one. Made a song with 50 called MVP. It was part of the G Unit. Notorious name dropper. Had a big time beef with 50 Cent. Was once part of the G Unit. Compton Blood. It's not from Chicago. Made a song called MVP. Was recently on the internet apologizing because he said something about the blood who got murdered. The rest is so the Inglewood family blood who got murdered. You guys didn't see that. It's all over the internet. And we didn't give you the name of the game before the game started.
Is it the game?
Ding 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 ding. The game.
Oh my
Ding,
God.
ding, ding, ding.
Oh my God.
Ding, ding,
Oh wow.
ding, 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 ding. All right, here we go. Here we go. They're on a different coast from you.
I said it's why this game is named.
Yeah, you sure did. You sure did. And they're on a different coast from you, Dr. Gay. So they're an hour ahead of sleep. So here we go. Here we go. We're gonna wrap it up for them.
Bro.
Here we go. Oh man. Free clue. This person was mentioned earlier during this game in an incorrect assertion. That's your free clue.
Is it incorrect? What?
It was an incorrect response to one of the questions. It was a wrong answer, but it was mentioned during the game. Here we go. This notorious Chicago gangster was the founder of a religious movement known as the Il Rukins. Il Rukins. Who said what? What did I hear?
He nervous.
I heard something.
He nervous.
Say
it. Ford.
There it is.
Yeah,
Jeff Ford. We will take Jeff Ford. All right, bro. You can be allowed in certain parts of the city now. You know what I mean? You just don't want to go on the other side. All right, here we go. All right, you guys are down to one more, and then we got.
I can't cross the street.
Yeah, can't turn that corner. All right, here we go. Here we go. All right, we're gonna. This is the last one, and then we got the big money ball. You should know this one by now, Pastor Stewart. You've been on the show before, so listen good. This black man is the founder of Chicago, Illinois.
DuSable.
What DuSable?
Well,
I got it from Coney first. He said DuSable. I heard Coney first. That's right. Now you know. Now you know, Pastor Stewart. There's a black man. But they didn't tell you that in your schools, did they? That a black man. No, they won't tell you stuff like that. But they told you about all the gangs in Chicago, though, that you came out here and just they told you about that. Oh, okay.
Fox News did that. Yeah.
Yeah, right. And they just named Lakeshore Drive. They just renamed it after him.
Yep.
Last question. This is the money balls worth 34 points.
36 points, right?
36, my bad. And I expect the doctors to know this. My bad, Pastor Stewart, but we'll see what happens. That's your free clue. I expect the doctors to know this. Here we go. All righty. This doctor, first job was as a shoemaker's apprentice, and then he became a barber. This historical doctor began his humble beginnings as a shoemaker apprentice and later became a barber. That's the first clue. I know it's an obscure clue, but you put all the clues together and you should be able to figure it out. Here we go. This king of our community, of society, graduated with a medical degree in 1883 at Chicago Medical College. He was one of 3 black medical doctors in the city of Chicago at that time. All right. Started as a shoemaker's apprentice and then was cutting those fades, boy. Talking that crap up in the barber shop about the vax. They shouldn't take the jab. Don't take the jab. Take the jab. Take the jab. And then he graduated with his MD degree in 1883 at Chicago Medical College. I think that was the name of it at the time. One of the 3 first black medical doctors in Chicago at the time. Next clue. The first human being
Charles Drew.
I'm sorry? I heard a name.
He said Charles Drew.
Charles Drew.
You got to mute him. You got to mute him. The first human being to perform open heart surgery on a human.
I was about to say something just to irritate you, just because it was going to be funny.
Ooh, you didn't say Dr. Seuss? He wasn't black.
No, I was actually going to say something ignorant like Ben Carson, but that was being rude.
Dr. Ben Carson. Yeah, he's not that old, but yeah, we'd have rolled with it. Okay, here we go.
It got him muted.
No, that wasn't his guess. You can take him off mute. He was just messing. You can't mute him on that. That wasn't a serious guess. All right, he's being tongue in cheek. Here we go. He was the first to perform open heart surgery on a human who survived without X-rays, antibiotics, surgical prep work, or tools of modern surgery. And he founded the first interracial U.S. hospital, which is known as Provident Hospital.
Wow.
All right, we're going to ask for the chat. If anybody in the chat knows this.
Wow.
When he's begging for a second shot, he got it.
Well, you guys have to guess wrong before he gets a second shot. And there are no more clues here that I can come up with, because that's all I know about this guy. I mean, come on. Black man. Doctor.
First open heart surgery. I mean,
man.
Come on.
Did it without X-rays, antibiotics, surgical prep work, or the tools of modern surgery. And the cat went on to live. The cat he performed this on was a black man. He went on to live. Self. This guy went on to live. Took the heart right out of that man. Killed that man. You know, had him first to do all that, bro. Nobody thought they could do it. I think he had done it on a pig first, but nobody's going to talk about that. Might even use a black woman, because they were using black women for a lot of the science back in the day too.
Yeah, well.
All right, you guys got to guess wrong, so we can get Dr. Coney back in here, and you guys can ask the chat, but no, you can't, because it's two of y'all, and that wouldn't be fair to Dr. Coney.
Yeah, well, Dr. Coney knows what it is.
All right, these guys won't guess wrong. The timer's running out, and you guys got 10 seconds on the timer here before we got to add Dr. Coney back to the thing.
Just run it back, Turbo. Bring him on back.
6 seconds. You guys won't even guess wrong.
No, I think Gay is in his iPhone, man.
I'm not.
Hey. You don't question Dr. Gray's veracity.
That was another
Here we go.
Okay.
Here we go. Last one.
I'm like, I don't even have a hat on, but
oh no, we got all the clues. Put Dr. Coney back in.
Yeah, I did.
I can't remember. Coney.
Okay, Dr. Coney, you want to take another stab at it?
I don't even have a hat on, but you know, now you got me stirred up.
It's Daniel Hale Williams.
Ding. Dr. Daniel Hale Williams. And that's why we do this here. So some young person can take that away with them. This is the stuff that they don't talk about. And if they talked about more, we would have more balance in our society, you know, and they don't need to just teach it to us, but they need to teach it to the pinks, you know, the Asians, the everything. But, you know, that's a whole nother show. Yes, you know, there's white people, they're good, they're down for us, and there's pink people, those are the other ones. All right. You know what I mean? So do you guys that was it, man, unless y'all got some big ups, any shout outs or anything like that.
Hey, I forgot one shout out. So when are we planning our meeting? Are we supposed to meet down in Tennessee at some point? I'm just saying what happened?
Yeah.
Well, we moved that to Cleveland. He's gonna have to come to Ohio. We're gonna be at Coney's house in that wine cellar he's got. We can do it all down there in that basement. That way nobody can hear. I mean, you know what I'm saying.
It's all good.
No.
Dr. Coney, he's a tick. He's interested in Kappa.
So intake has been almost put on pause because of the uptick in
COVID. Yeah.
In COVID. So yeah. Well, they were definitely sure, and I had the conversation in June. It's kind of swiveled at the moment, so I haven't heard much more about it. They got all my information, so you know, it's just really them calling me.
Pastor, I would consider it an ultimate honor to be a part of that. To be, hey brother, a part of that process.
I haven't done a road trip in a long time.
Oh boy.
Joe, it's time now. It's time. We got anesthesia. We got eye surgery.
My God.
We are covering the bases.
Man, I am terrified.
It would be my distinct honor.
Terrified, man. I'm terrified.
Well, since he's family, you guys know you got to give him the treatment. Take it easy on him. You know that.
Exactly right.
Of course, yeah.
But
It's the family treatment. Yeah.
When everybody says family treatment and the words take it easy, it never ends up well.
Things have to be done appropriately.
That's right. That's right. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I can't show up to your place of business, your church or what have you, and get behind the pulpit, and you guys go study the Bible. You know what I mean? No,
we're very in tune.
Stewart's my cousin.
We're very in tune to the proprieties of life. You know how you pronounce certain words,
correct?
Names,
gray, gay,
gray, all of that. It's so very important, and how you interact with people,
man,
mutual respect,
and how you don't say F other brothers. And you remember Dr. Conrad, who's not here, he was going in with Dr. Conrad, wasn't he? Oh man, that was great.
I'm just saying, you need to make sure you say certain things and you don't say certain words like yo and things out of respect for the situation.
Oh man,
but it's all and again, it would be my distinct honor.
Hey, Noop, don't even respond to yo. You know what I mean? When you're with the guys, I used to hate when I was with the brothers and they'd be like yo, and Noop, and you're like, man, I didn't mean to respond. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, nobody's gonna hold anything against you.
No. Hey Joe, I look forward to seeing you down there. Just think, retinas and
reattachment. Yeah, it's all down there. That's a good point because we did. Well, I don't want to talk about that on here, but I think we did have a retina reattachment necessity years ago beyond statute. That's a good point. We can go back in time and have Dr. Coney fix this right up in here.
It's about responsibility. It's about responsibility.
That's right.
I've been looking forward. I've been looking forward to the Bourbon Trail for a long time, so it's easy for me.
You know what I mean? Right. We do it in Ohio, man. We meet there. So, but yeah, man. So y'all shoot out Pastor Stewart, any big ups? Anything like that?
Hey, I think my brother moved to Knoxville.
That's the first time the guest has been without words.
I got nervous. You're making me nervous. Nervous.
We'll plug the book one last time, and then we'll throw it to Dr. Coney.
Just give a shout out one more time. Thank you everybody for even thinking about it, clicking on it. Go to Getting Out on Amazon, Stepping into Faith with the Unknown. We got a Facebook page called Amerikkka. Look it up. We put all the book postings. We do small little short devotionals. We're working on starting a pastoral consulting firm.
How do you spell it?
ERCHOMAI. It's a Greek word. So
look at that. It's a Greek word, so you should know that.
Man, I don't know.
Well, Tori's supposed to know it because he's a black Greek. That's what he's saying. But go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
What I'm implying is
that's what you're implying. Now you're gonna tell me what you're implying. You see what I'm saying, Dr. Gay? This is what you were saying. But
yeah, I was just asking them to tell the people.
That's all.
Know.
What's trying to say?
The second time he said F Tory. Second time he said F Tory. Tory told him it's gay. He was like Dr. Gray. You know what I mean?
The honor would be mine.
I think God is calling me. I'm gonna see y'all later.
hey, cuz, I never did anything to anybody. All I do is this. You know what I mean?
No, but you're an instigator though, cuz I'm sure you got him struck up.
Words have never heard a pledge.
False.
I was just about to say I don't believe that. I don't believe that.
Oh my God.
Right. Boy, Andrew Wade, boy, don't get me started. But yeah, all right. So y'all big ups to Dr. Coney, and then we'll do it to Dr. Gay.
Yeah, man. Listen, thanks you for your platform. It's been a great having a session. Sharing the podium with these guys have been phenomenal. But just keep what you're doing. And my plug to medicine is make sure everybody just get checked out for everything, man. If you're over the 50, check your colon out. Make sure you get your blood pressure checked. Make sure you get checked for diabetes because too many people are dying from just things just not having screening exams. So that's my plug for health.
Big ups. And Dr. Gay?
Nothing. I just heard the word session and I got very excited about this whole situation. And I just want to say, I love you guys. I think this is a great platform. I'd like to participate whenever you need me. But again, the same issues, personal accountability, read independent thought, right? And get the jab. And again, this session has been very pleasurable for me. And I love all of the sessions that we have together and all of the sessions that we will have in the future about this topic and other topics that are so very important.
Man, they won't even let me in their house because I ain't had the
Red light
jab.
special.
Right. We ain't had the jab, so.
Yeah, well, we can just get the bootleg jab paperwork. I got a guy. I know a guy who knows a guy that gets the bootleg jab paperwork. I'm just joking, Amerikkka. Hey, but yeah, man, y'all show yourselves out, man, and we love you guys, and we'll definitely reach out to you if we could do it again, like maybe next quarter, and we'll have some more data.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much, you guys.
Good night.
Hey, yo to the noobs. All right, Pastor Stewart, keep achieving, bro. Good job on that book, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I'll tell you what, Self, that's always a magnanimous experience with those guys, ain't it?
It is. It is like expansion, Even though I got an idea what I feel, they bring some interesting aspects.
Yeah, they did. They did. I've never not been considered stubborn, about certain things, you know what I mean? So, yeah, you know what I mean?
Still,
They did. And they brought a lot of passion and conviction, that's for sure. What up, Ace?
Facts. I didn't quite get a couple of questions answered, But, I know if they had the answer, so.
Yeah, well, you know what? They were thorough, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
And we'll see how much of this, the Baphomet over there at YT, capital YT, will let us keep, because, they, you know how they are.
Oh, yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
I was like, what? Over that? Have you guys listened to all our stuff? You know what I mean? Right?
Yeah, because there were topics, man. I was like, okay, I'm watching, I'm monitoring. So I'm like, okay, we're still on. All right.
Man, bro, they've been topics you and I have been on where it's just been you and I on the show that Self Love Nation should probably go back and watch some of those. Yeah.
Man. Absolutely.
Man. So
expansion.
Yeah, so we hope that you all can take something away from this, whether you've had the jab or have not had the jab, or you're still considering, having the jab. We truly hope that, some information was presented today that has helped at least one human or one soul. That's always our goal. Some of the things I say may be tongue in cheek. Most of it isn't. So you figure it out. The riddle, self-love. I forgot to ask the guys to answer the riddle. So let me reread the question. How can you drop? And anybody in the chat, you guys haven't responded to the riddle. You guys have never responded to the riddle. I mean, I don't understand who sits and watches a 3-hour live and don't type
Maybe they didn't get in where we,
That's a good point.
it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's
Okay,
only
came
thing I
in
can
later.
think of.
You're right. You're right, Self. You're right. Well, the riddle is, how can you drop a raw egg from a height of 99 feet onto the floor without cracking it? Self Love.
Well, I've dropped the egg from a lot closer to the ground, and it never cracked the floor.
Yeah. You figured it out. You have figured it out. That's right. You're not going to be able to crack the floor with the raw egg. True. That is a good point. So, how can you drop a raw egg from a height of 99 feet onto the floor without cracking it, meaning the floor?
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah. Period.
Yeah. Yeah. So, that was the riddle of the day. Let me check one thing here. Where are we at? This is Self Love. It would have been nice to have Cannonball on there too, boy. Because
Oh man,
he'd have got fired up, wouldn't he?
Yes, sir. Sure would have. Right,
Cannon, boy. Where did I see him in court? I wouldn't want to be on the other side of that cannon. You just said, whoa. All right. Yeah, Noop. So next week, bro, right here on the Self Love Show at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, that's Chi-Town time. We're doing the urban hypnosis. We have two artists, genius, at tapping into the subconscious out there. So yeah, we're that's going to be the Brain Bully, aka Emerge McVeigh. He was on the Self Love Show, one of the earlier shows.
Right.
And then we also have Anthony Orr, another experienced hypnotist. So we've got two gentlemen that's going to be on the panel for you guys on July 28th. You know, a lot of you guys are still, smoking the white man's penis. Meaning, you got cigarettes you're smoking, et cetera, et cetera. We all got things we do. And, they could, discuss, how, hypnosis can be used, to get that white man's penis out of your butt.
Mouth.
Being a cigarette.
That's not a good analogy. Don't like to think about that out there.
Well, I mean, I don't know if we could say that on YouTube, but you guys check into here next week. We're going to be talking about urban hypnosis. It's some things that we don't do in our community. I think like counseling, and we don't use certain things, yoga. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yes, sir. I'm up for that because that's one of our goal marks, and the Brain Bully is going to make it happen, and we just got to get it scheduled. And now I'm at a point where it's time to schedule it.
Man, I'm looking forward to it, bro. And Noop, before Wordsmith's final words, you guys check in tomorrow at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time right here on TATN. We're going to cover the MJ hate, those who hate the GOAT. All of a sudden, is it justified? Is it just a ploy from white supremacy? Am I biased? Well, yes, I am. And now we'll go to Self Love for Wordsmith's final words. Yeah.
The Self Love Show, we vibrate love. And I'm going to vibrate love, but I'm going to keep it a buck and stay above. Bored. You need to search your conscious to see where you need to go. So I know for me, but for you, I don't know. You need to read and look deep within. Make sure it's the proper situation. Because I don't know for all, I just know for me. And I did my due diligence. I need for you to see that for yourself. And don't listen to anyone. Find out for yourself. Facts. Thank y'all. It's much love, honor, respect. It's a blessing. You're helping us build the self-love nation.
Yes, sir. Hey, big ups to Most Def and this joint right here.
Yes, sir.
Big ups. Well said too. Self-love, well said. The only thing I'll add is like, share, subscribe if you appreciate this content. Comment, because that would help us to accomplish our goal, which is the resurrection of Black Chicago. Complete resurrection of Black Chicago.